Well, hello. Hello, fellow gamers. Welcome back to Phalantus Plays. I'm so sorry about last week. I just figured out that for the last month or so I haven't been streaming to YouTube as well. So I'm sorry for all my YouTube watchers if you've been missing me play. I know there are a handful of you that like to watch the VODs and kind of missed the whole lineup of me playing Cobra Lash to, well, failure. So I had two things frustrate me. First of all, Cobra Lash not going to work as a skill through the campaign, and we did learn a lot about going fast through the campaign. But yeah, that skill and all that practice is kind of down the tubes, so I'm kind of figuring out what else I want to maybe start for the next POE1 campaign. But today, as the title suggests, hey, Game Exile, yeah, I'm talking specifically to you. Sorry, I haven't been streaming to YouTube for a little bit. I had a toggle wrong on my restream setup, so very sorry about that. But yeah, today I want to figure out if it's worth it for me to pay for early access to POE2. So we're going to do a deep dive into POE2. I've been sort of staying away from all of the information. I haven't really been reading very much about it. I haven't been watching any of the preview videos for quite a while, for over the last year, I think. So yeah, so we'll get into it. We'll see if it's worth it, because so POE2 is gonna be a free-to-play game, but to have early access to the beta, I guess it is, you can pay $30 US. I think some areas it's regionally adjusted. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm gonna take a look at it and see what's kind of going on today. That's you know, it's hard for me to justify paying $30 for a game that's gonna be free to play, even though you do get like in-game stuff, like you can get stash tabs, something like that. Yeah, it saves me some money, and you know, I mean, $30 is nothing to sniff at where I live. $30 is that's like 3 days worth of food. So for my whole family. So we've got our oolong high mountain green tea, and we'll just be checking stuff out. We'll be checking stuff out to see what are the pros and cons of Path of Exile 2. So first thing we're going to do is we're just going to head to the website. Let's go into that. Path of Exile 2, early access launching December 6th. Now this has been hyped up to God knows what kind of stratosphere. This has been just, yeah, people have been talking about this, and you know, because Path of Exile 1 has been sort of like the longest league ever this season. And so I think they had everybody working on Path of Exile 2 for launch, and then they were going to do something for Christmas for POE1, but I'm not sure. Like, yeah, I wonder if this is going to make POE1 change to 3 or even just 2 expansions per year instead of just 1, or instead of 4. Yeah, we'll see. It has been 3 for the last couple of years, but anyway. So there's been a lot of content drought, and people have been just, you know, itching to get their hands on early access December 6th. So let's see what we got going on here. Oh, the world. For 20 years, Rayclast has been free from any sources of corruption, but the Count of Ongam, tempted by promises of power, intends to harness it once more. The dead are rising, monsters are mutating, madness is spreading. Okay, so it's 20 years since the end of Path of Exile 1. Which is, yeah, okay. Pretty cool. Visteri Desert, Jungle, Ruins of Utzal, and Ancient Val City. Act 1. Forests of Ogaim. Act 2. Deserts of Vitsiri. Act 3, Jungles of the Inner Continent. So there's only 3 acts, it looks like, instead of 10. They better be big. Or maybe they're planning on adding more later. We'll see. I'm just gonna go through the website first, and then we'll move on to the videos. Okay, so there's 6 classes so far. We can do the warrior, which has 3. Looks like 3 ascendancies. Warrior. Oh, maybe just 2 ascendancies. Yeah. Okay. So interesting. So instead of 3 ascendancies, there's 2. Maybe there's 3. We'll see. Fearsome frontline fighter, or yeah. Okay. So there's. Oh. Okay. Cool. So these are all the ones that they want to show you so far. And each one only has 2 ascendancies. Oh, does that mean there's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 entry points onto the skill tree? That'll be interesting. A sorceress, a ranger, a monk. Ooh, that's cool. I like a monk. Look at that. Acolyte of Chayula. Oh, sweet. The Invoker. I kind of want to be an Acolyte of Chayula. I loved playing the monk in Diablo 3. That was my jam. I like monks. I like the idea of a character who is can fight with no weapons. It's cool. Mercenary. The Witch Hunter. Okay. Gemling Legionnaire. Or Gemling Legionnaire. All right. So distance. So there's a witch and a sorceress. Oh, okay. So they're switching elemental and blood. I don't understand this separation. Stormweaver, Chronomancer. Okay, interesting. Mercenary is a crossbow. So distance, close up, minions, and distance, magic distance. The sorceress. Oh, hey. I hope there'd be good explode mechanics. I do too. I hope that the graphics are gonna be. I hope they can make the game actually just a little bit slower. I'd like to be able to have to use more thinking, like more skills, to be fighting enemies. Yeah, I want a cultist. Yeah, with all those pops. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll see. I mean, there are. Do any of these other 6 look occultisty? This one kind of looks like an occultist symbol. The sorceress does too. This one kind of looks like maybe. I don't know. I don't know if they're gonna do it. We'll see. Pathfinder and Deadeye. Okay, so they're kind of keeping Ranger. They're adding Sorceress. The Warrior is gonna be replacing Marauder. It looks like the Mercenary is gonna be like the Duelist kind of, but long distance. That's a bit strange. And the Witch is the Witch. Blood Magic. Infernalist. Ooh, I hope they make the Occultist the they can make an Occultist base class and then make one that does like chaos damage and or a Necromancer. That'd be kind of cool. Okay, so there's a bunch of classes. New skill gem system. Hundreds of skill gems. Okay. Whoa, what happened? Okay, there we go. Path of Exile 2 features hundreds of skill gems. Devastating active skills. So it's going to be active skills combined with support gems. Passive skill tree. Looks interesting. Similar in ideas. This looks very similar to the top of the passive skill tree for the Witch. Except for it's got all these strength nodes. That's a bit odd. Okay, probably not for the Witch then. Dual specialize your passive skill tree. Dual specialization, the ability to allocate some passive skills. Okay, so so you can switch. Ah, that's right. Weapon swap will make your skill tree a bit different. That's kind of cool. I liked that. That was a cool thing. In-depth equipment systems. Ooh, we get to look at some of the... I can't switch anything here. Rarity, regenerate. These are all... I like the art on all this stuff. It looks very nice. It's very pretty. Way prettier than Diablo. I wonder if they're gonna keep the I wonder if they're gonna keep the same kind of storage system. Searing touch pyrite staff. Grant skill level 9 living bomb. Okay, that's cool. Ignite, cast speed, fire damage. Explore the end game. Completing a campaign is just the beginning. The end game includes countless arenas. So this, I'm not sure. Okay. Unique encounters more unlock new paths. Okay, boost rewards. So it's going to be similar end game, but it looks like the map is going to be like actually rayclassed itself. So you get to reroll maps like locations. Huh. Maybe they're ones that you visited. That'd be kind of cool. Ascension requires completion of great trials. Okay, Trial of Sakema. Skills all the way to the end game. Okay. Trial of Chaos. Oh, you can do ascend 2 ways? Oh, Trial Master's gonna be in. Nice. That's cool. Gonna have some ultimatum. So you can ascend with 2 ways. 2 ways to ascend. That's interesting. You can do breaches. That's cool. That's good. Expedition. I think that's nice. Ritual. Okay, cool. Delirium. Pinnacle threat. Enormous maze riddled with danger. Okay, I have no idea what that's about. More join early access stuff. Okay, so we've got kind of an idea about what's going on. The classes look interesting, at least. Let's take a look at some of... So I went to the Path of Exile YouTube site, and I clicked on some of the videos. Okay, I think... Okay, I haven't seen this. So this is the gameplay. Let's see what everybody is hyped up about. Hold on.
Oh, I leveled up. Oh, no, I don't.
Okay, they're like...
So here I've like frozen these enemies, and then if I use my other shotgun, I can shatter them, and it does like an AoE around the monsters. So to show you that again, you know, I can start by freezing these monsters and then shatter them apart.
Right.
So in POE1, a lot of the time, you know, you just spam one skill again and again.
Japanese
and,
subtitles.
we really wanted to make sure that you actually have more variety in POE2.
Okay,
So,
cool.
here
So
I can,
we're
use
gonna
my,
have a little more
assault
variety.
rifle.
They're trying to make the game have more variety.
Shoot off
That's
the armor of
nice.
these monsters. And then after I've done that, they take more damage from something like a shotgun. But also there are lots of skills that will...
They're really highlighting the mercenary.
Empowered by this. So for example, the sniper rifle, once the armor is broken off, it does much more damage. So yeah, just lots of abilities like this. Here's one that I can shoot on the ground. And it effectively produces ice crystals. Where
So this was the last guy I saw.
And things will probably be okay further. So let's
see.
here's the screen where you can put your skill.
Okay, so yeah, they're doing the similar system of inventory management where you have to... That's nice. I like this, where you have to like make a puzzle in your inventory. That's good. I don't like the Diablo 2 where you just get like a certain number of slots and then everything you pick up fits in that one slot.
skills and socket them.
Oh,
And it's not part of items anymore, which means that it's a lot easier to use. And then we also have this thing called a support gem, which lets you modify your skills further. So unlike in POE2, you know, we recommend for each skill which supports we would like to use.
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, interesting. So there's a little
For
more
example, for this one,
user-friendly.
Multiple projectiles. Then now when I
When I got the new gems in Pass of
Yeah, there's a little bit more user-friendly interaction there, so that I'm sure once you get better at it, you can select different ones if you think that it's a better match for your combat style or survivability or whatever effect you're trying to get. But
Exile, I didn't really know which one is better than.
So this helps a lot more.
yeah,
With this one, for example, if I fire it without multiple projectiles, I just get a grenade. If I put multiple projectiles in here, then when I fire it, I get 3 grenades. But you know, it works. It's still an item, and it works with any skill. So if I move, for example, to where's my sniper rifle?
not any skill, any.
Then now, when I use my sniper rifle, I get 3 shots every time.
Wow, nice.
So you have to be careful to choose what skill you want to have these on, and that is, you know, where you know you what to do. But for new players, it's a lot simpler.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah, I think that helps a lot. You know, a lot easier. You know, we have gold like a more traditional game does. So using the vendors is you know a lot easier.
Okay, so vendors is
you know,
all
we did a
gonna be
lot
gold.
of testing for new users to see you know what they were having trouble with, and we changed a lot of things based on that. So that's a very unusual class, but now maybe I can show you a more. We have 12 classes in the game, and all of them. We try to make every one feel quite different, but you know, we that right away. You can just see the quality of everything is just so much better than what we did in POE1. You know, you can redirect your.
God, I love
skills
the
after you've already done
tone.
it. We also have dodge cancel, so you can cancel out and dodge roll at any time. But we still like to do a lot of skill combinations. So here, for example, is a skill that creates a magma on the ground. But if you slam that, then it re-triggers the magma, so you can use this to do more damage to monsters.
Oh, nice.
And
That's
we try to just
cool.
build things like this into every skill that we can.
Oh, nice.
So, you know, if I use
this is going to be like combos.
you might think, okay, well, you know, what other slams does it work with?
Right.
So it actually, we try to make it so it will work with anything. So for example, here I've got a skill called Stampede, which you can use to run, and it does more damage behind. And then if I
combo,
attack
skill
the ground with
combos.
this, and
That's
then
going to be
stampede that,
awesome.
then it triggers a very large number of times. So that can be a very effective way. Now this area, you have monsters worshipping this artificial sun. And as I get closer, I start to take more and more damage.
Right.
So you want to hide in the shade to
Area
hold yourself
effects.
from dying.
That's interesting.
Cool area effects.
It's nice to have these like little area mechanics. But you know,
That'll
I could
help
probably
the
take a
game
different path,
feel real,
to avoid that.
like.
We actually have random levels as well. So every time I
Interesting.
play this, it will be different. There'll always be a sun in the center, but you know, the walls will be different, the monsters will be different, everything, you know, where the entrances are. So you know, it's familiar but different every time.
So keeping in shadow is very important.
Yeah. I'll show you some other skill combinations we have. So if I use armor break on a monster here, so I break their armor, and then I do a slam on top of them. It does extra stun damage. So this actually I can use with another skill here called Seismic Cry. So here I have these things called exerted attacks. So any attack I do now will be doubled. Oh, careful the laser.
Okay, so they're
here,
doing some.
if
They're
I do
keeping
this
some of
run,
the stuff from
triggers once,
POE1.
and then it triggers a second time.
Oh, nice.
So that allows you to, as I said, to double any skill. And that means you probably want to use it with whatever your most powerful skill is. So a pretty good one is the rampage. But I'll show you some other skills that might be good to use.
It
with
is
as well.
slower, for sure. But I'm sure that people are gonna min-max the crap out of it to make it like one hit
different keys
everything.
for different skills.
Yeah.
I'm a controller player. I really like the changing tabs to be able to choose different skills.
After this, we can play some couch co-op together if you like.
Okay.
So we can play on controller, and you can see what that experience is like.
Okay.
So I'm going to use a skill called Hammer of the Gods. So I'll put it on my skill screen, and
Oh, you get a
this is cooldown skill.
screen. You get a whole
So,
screen of
it
different
drops a
skills
large
that you
hammer
can
on
choose
monsters.
from.
So there we go.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's very powerful.
So it's not limited
And,
by your
if I
gear
use
at
that
all
with
anymore.
My, skill that duplicates things, it means I can drop, it'll explode a second time.
God, I can see
So,
why people are hyped up about this
first
game. It's going to
I'll,
be
stun
super
some
awesome to
monsters.
see
Yeah. Where are we? There we go.
what the gameplay loop is
Let me
like.
just, I killed. Whoops.
There's so many ways to customize your character.
And then we do a big hammer with 2,
Yeah.
and then explode again.
Nice.
But with support gems, you can still make.
I really like
That's mana. If I can stun a monster again. Okay, running out of mana.
Okay.
So it's a red one.
nice.
So maybe what I'll do now is just show you a boss.
Okay.
And
Another
I'm
boss
sure
fight.
so many different classes, people want to create different characters.
Oh yes. Yeah, I think one of the reasons why our game has lasted so long is because of the fact that there are so many different things to do with character builds.
Yeah.
So people have a lot of stuff to do.
Oh, this is much more engaging, proper action game
Oh, yes.
boss battle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so if I can stun him, in a second we'll be able to use the double hammer. There we go.
Oh, you can stun the
And
boss.
then,
That's cool.
Oh no, out of mana. Okay, there we go. There we go. We do a lot of damage.
Okay.
Right before.
So, what
I
am
really
doing
like the
here?
tone that they're
have a
going for.
companion.
It's much better than the
Yes, in this
cartoony
area.
style.
This is Alva.
Although some of these fruits and stuff, that looks a little bit underdone.
Oh, maybe.
Oh, look at the graphics. Wow, beautiful.
Attacks that get empowered significantly by that.
Yeah.
So this is a good part of the gameplay. There's a few different ways to get charges, but yeah.
That's
All right, so this is like the gameplay. This is kind of cool. I like all this. Let's take a look at endgame, because that's where it's gonna be.
What are we?
Endgame is where you spend vast majority of your time in Path of Exile. And it'll probably be the same in Path of Exile 2, and it's always
Facing
going to
here.
be the make or break it part of
A relic of the old world. Ready your men, Captain.
a gameplay loop for
We'll
any
only get one
ARPG. Because once you beat the campaign, what do you do?
Hear the whispers? Call for help. Do not attack.
When you hear the whispers, what do you think he was on about?
It's Dorman, right?
Yeah.
Then Dorman. Shut your damn mouth.
Opening cinematic.
Jonathan Rogers, game director on Path of Exile.
Thank you. Yeah.
Existence.
Trailer. Live stream.
Now, as you
start.
just saw, even in early access, Path of Exile 2 is a big game. It's actually been 5 years since we announced POE2.
Yeah,
and
that's
over
what
that
got me
time,
into
we've revealed a
POE1,
lot,
actually.
But it's been in bits and pieces. It's pretty hard to keep track of it all. So today we're going to do a full rundown of all the content that will be available at the start of early access.
Okay.
Classes, character progression systems, and for the first time, a full overview of the end game. This is going to be a big one, so get comfortable.
Okay, so this is the one that we want to watch.
20 years, Rayclast has been free from any sources of corruption, but the Count of Ogham, tempted by promises of power, intends to harness it once more.
Yeah, that's what
The
we.
dead are rising, monsters are mutating,
Red.
and madness is spreading. Under the dark influence of corruption, the Count doles out sentences of death to any who would question him.
Not us. We escaped. Run away.
And this is where you find yourself at the start of POE2. Explore the dark forests of Ogham, traverse the barren plains of the Vesteri
this
Desert,
is-
and delve into the jungle ruins of Utsal. Now, early access will initially have 6 classes available.
Oh, 6
Let's have a look
classes.
at them.
Uh.
The Monk is a fast and furious melee fighter. He dashes in and out of combat and has mechanics that involve building up and keeping momentum.
Looks like he's got a staff.
Like all classes in POE2, you'll want to use a wide variety of skills to mix and match different combos. To get new skills, you will first need to find skill gems. Using a skill gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available in POE2. You can choose an existing skill to level up, or choose to engrave a new. available in POE2.
Gem cutting.
You can choose the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available in POE2.
Okay.
You can choose an existing skill to level up, or choose to engrave a new one. Since this is a level 7 skill gem, even if you pick a new skill, it will immediately be level 7, so there's no harm in trying out something new.
I'm
Or
confused.
choose to
Wait
engrave a
second.
new one. Gems. Using a skill gem, you'll want to use a wide variety of skills to mix and match different combos. To get new skills, you will first need to find skill gems.
Okay.
Using a
untouched
skill gem will open the gem cutting menu, which shows all the active skills available in POE2.
Oh, nice. So every gem is going to be able to be active. Do you have to like you can choose whichever skill you want. That's cool.
You can choose an existing skill to level up, or choose to engrave a new one. Since this is a level 7 skill gem, even if you pick a new skill, it will immediately be level 7.
Okay, do they I wonder they must level up as you use them too.
So there's no harm in trying out something new.
But
The
they
monk
start at
primarily
a
uses the
certain level.
quarterstaff.
That's nice.
There are 3 schools of martial arts: lightning, ice, and wind. But don't think you have to stick to just one. The best combos are going to involve mixing elements of all 3.
Okay.
Let's try Killing Palm. Like many monk skills, this can be used to quickly take advantage of a specific situation. If there's an enemy on low life, you can use Killing Palm to dash to them and kill them instantly. This will provide a power charge. Then we can use a different skill to consume that power charge for a much more devastating attack. The monk also has powerful combo skills. Tempest Bell, for example, is a skill that places a giant resonating bell. Hitting the bell causes it to ring, dealing damage to all enemies around it. You can also do things like freeze or shock the bell, which will add
That's cool.
elemental damage to the strikes.
It's like an orb.
The monk also has a variety of abilities to empower his staff. If an enemy is close to being stunned, you can use Staggering Palm to punch them down.
The monkey's staff
After that,
skill.
any attack you do will shoot out wind projectiles. There are 21 active skills for quarterstaves, so this just scratches the surface of the options that you have. By endgame, you'll be dashing from pack to pack,
different
spewing
weapons,
projectiles and
different
obliterating
skills.
screens of enemies with huge combo attacks.
Cool.
Now, if you like a style of melee that's a little slower but hits much harder, then the warrior is for you. He
My
pounds
buddy.
the ground with big chunky attacks and can shrug off the hits of small enemies with large amounts of armor. Even though the mace slams are slow, you never lose control. Longer attacks can be retargeted as you go, and if you find yourself committed to a long attack, you can dodge roll out of it at any time.
Okay.
Among the skill option for maces, you will find a variety of slams, fire attacks, war cries, and shield skills. Here, I'm going to slam the ground, rending it apart with lines of fire. Any slam skill will then cause these fissures to erupt with lava.
Yeah, this is what we
I
saw
can even run
earlier.
through them with a skill like Stampede to do huge amounts of damage. The warrior can also use war cries, which can empower your next skill. Seismic Cry, for example, will double any slams from your next attack. The Stampede counts as a slam, so I can double that for even more craziness. If you want to go a little faster and be a
looks
little
so
more defensive,
cool.
equip a shield. In POE2, you can raise your shield at any time to block all damage from the front, even spells.
Oh.
While holding up your shield, your stun meter will build as you take damage, so be careful. If it reaches 100%, your stance will break and
Oh, interesting. That's a way more interesting use of a block mechanic. Huh.
you will be vulnerable.
Much more active.
Some enemies also have unblockable attacks, which are indicated by this red flash. If you see one of these coming, make sure to dodge out of the way. Using a shield also gives you access to shield skills, like Shield Charge, which allows you to charge towards enemies and stun them.
Oh, nice.
While charging, you're also blocking the whole time, so you have full damage immunity from the front. The warrior also has access to totems. Some totems have built-in abilities, like Shockwave Totem, which can be placed to stun nearby enemies and trigger aftershocks like those from the earthquake. But you can also get Ancestral Warrior Totems, which allow you to use any slam skill in your repertoire. This is a meta skill, which means that it's a skill you can put other skills into. I can take a slam like Sunder and socket it into my Ancestral Warrior Totem.
I see.
Now when I
Yeah,
summon
yeah,
him,
this is
he'll
like
sit there and slam the monsters from a distance.
This is in POE 1 too, yeah.
There are 20 active skills for maces, so there's a lot more to try out. But by endgame, you're going to be dropping hammers from the sky, leaping fearlessly into combat, and separating the very earth you stand on. time for some ranged attacks. The ranger is primarily about the bow, but we wanted to make sure that she feels agile as well. In POE2 you can shoot while moving. Combined with all the skills the ranger has that allow you to jump around, you will have a lot of mobility in combat.
Wow. That is
Bow
gonna
skills
be
have a
really
variety
good.
of lightning, poison, ice, and physical
Being able
attacks.
to move even a little
Lightning
bit
attacks
while
bounce
you're-
around between
while you're
targets.
shooting
You can also stick
helps a
lightning
lot
arrows in the
with
ground
damage
which explode when hit by the bouncers, or electrocute enemies to take them out of combat.
That's like a
Ice
stun.
attacks allow you to slow and freeze enemies to keep them away from you. Using poison, not only can you slowly damage your enemies from afar, but also grow some interesting plants. With 21 bow skills and all the mobility and combo tools the ranger has, you can take advantage of every situation.
Like toxic
By
rain
in-game,
is
you'll be
still in
creating
the game.
hundreds of arrows, be they falling from the sky, bouncing around between enemies, or spraying out of tornadoes. You might have noticed in the bottom left of the screen that the flask slots look a little different.
Yeah, they do.
In POE2, you have one dedicated life flask slot and one mana flask slot.
Okay.
Flasks gain charges as you kill enemies, and typically allow you to heal 6 or 7 times if they're full. But that's not the only thing you can use charges for. Charms are a new item type that will
Whoa.
automatically defend you from various debuffs or damage types. Having trouble with getting frozen? Equip a Thawing Charm. When it's fully charged, it will make you immune to freeze for 3 seconds if you get frozen. To recharge them, just kill more monsters. You can gain more slots for charms by upgrading your belt.
Up to 3, it looks like.
The mercenary wields a crossbow that can be loaded with different
Okay, so you're always going to have a mana flask and a life flask. And then charms instead of the other flask types. Interesting. So they moved all the unique all the other kinds of flasks to charms. And you can't always have them up. You're going to have to use flasks, your life flask or your oh, maybe they gain charges? I'm not sure. It's an interesting
ammo
change
types,
to the
offering
mechanic.
versatility, power, and mobility. All classes in Path of Exile 2 can be controlled with WASD, which makes
It's automatic, which is nice. So that means no piano flasking. Saves a lot of your tendons. It's gonna save my tendons.
this class play exactly like a shooter. For the crossbow, you will find skills that work like shotguns, sniper rifles, assault rifles, and even grenade launchers. But not only that, there are a wide variety of more interesting elemental ammos too. It's very fast to switch between ammo types, so long as you already have them loaded, which makes the mercenary able to combo abilities together for devastating effect.
That's cool.
Use Glacial Bolt to create walls of ice to separate enemies, then switch to Fragmentation rounds to explode the ice, dealing massive AoE damage. If I come across an armored enemy, I could use armor-piercing rounds to break their armor, and then high-velocity rounds to take them down. Or perhaps I could fire a gas grenade to poison enemies before detonating the cloud with an explosive shot for massive damage.
Interesting.
If you want to call in some suppressing fire, you can summon artillery ballistas. These have a minimum range, so you'll want to prepare your position carefully before moving in. There are 22 active skills for crossbows. By endgame, you'll be calling destruction down from the sky as you litter the battlefield with grenades and pepper your enemies with your automatic shotgun. If you're looking to take a back seat and let your minions do the work, then the Witch should be your choice.
Oh, the Witch is the
She can call
necromancer.
forth hordes
Okay.
of undead monsters to fight for her, while casting powerful chaos spells that debilitate her enemies.
Looks like
Occult
witch's
skills are some of the most
cultist.
varied in the game,
Yeah.
with skeletons, noxious spells, specialty minions, curses, and sacrificial magic.
Okay, so the witch is a
Before we
cultist,
talk about
but I'm not
minions,
sure if
we'll have
there's
to talk
any
about a new
bots.
resource in Path of Exile 2 called Spirit. This is a spirit gem, which allows you to pick from a range of persistent skills. All classes have a variety of these skills which can add some very interesting effects, like Arctic Armor, which does cold damage to enemies that hit you, or Raging Spirits, which summon fiery skulls each time you cast.
Oh, wait a minute. Is it... Are skills based on class? Can only certain classes use certain skills? Oh, I hope not. That's going to take down a lot of the variety of gameplay. I really hope not.
Cast a fire spell. For the witch though, we'll want to be using our spirit to create permanent minions. These minions will be revived automatically when they die, so you don't have to worry about resummoning them all the time. Here I'm using the skill screen to allocate which minions I would like in my horde. You can see the spirit cost of each one. Skeletal warriors are cheap but weak, useful for tanking damage and distracting enemies. But I want more heavy hitters in my army, so I'm going to unsummon some warriors and instead add skeletal arsonists.
Okay, cool.
Permanent minions come with special active abilities called command skills. You can order these guys to detonate your own minions for even more damage and area of effect. If you want a bigger army, you'll need a scepter. This new weapon type is imbued with even more spirit, allowing you to summon even more friends. And if you want an even bigger army than that, you can take advantage of corpses to summon true hordes of minions. But what can a witch do while her army is at work? Well, she has a range of chaos spells to spread disease amongst your enemies, or bone skills to impale them. Or, you know, you could curse them to make them weaker so your horde can take them down. There are 25 active occult skills. By the endgame, you'll be the leader of a fearsome army of the dead, consuming everything in its path.
Yeah, it looks a little...
The sorceress bends the elements to her will, using them to unleash devastation on her foes. This classic spellcaster weaves a flurry of elemental magic from afar. The elemental skills have everything you might expect and more. Fireballs, icy explosions, lightning storms, you get the idea. Each spell is unique and has many different ways to build and combo with others, even between different elements. For example, Flame Wall conjures a burning line that not only damages enemies, but also empowers all projectiles that pass through it. If you place a wall and fire lightning sparks through it, they'll gain extra fire damage. It's a good idea to take advantage of the ability to automatically swap weapons when you use certain skills. Having a special staff with bonuses to fire skills and another with bonuses to lightning skills can really power up a combo like this. The sorceress can also take advantage of powerful trigger gems. For example, you could grab the Cast and Ignite gem and use it with Firestorm. As you ignite enemies, a counter will go up in the top left corner. When it's full, a Firestorm will automatically be cast at the enemy that was ignited. There are 25 active elemental skills. By endgame, you'll be firing off projectiles left and right as you rain down elemental storms on your foes. Now, those are the characters that will be available at the start of early access, but we will be adding 6 more character classes with just as many skills and options as these. There's a lot more to come. There's one more important thing to mention about skills. Even though we talk about them as belong to each class, in reality there are no restrictions.
Oh, good. Okay,
you can use
good.
all these skills on any class so long as you have the attributes.
Okay.
For example, a Poison Ranger might want to try out using Occult Curses to increase her poison damage.
Yes.
Or a Monk might want to trigger Elemental Ice Walls to use with his Glacial Cascade combo.
What I was worried
The
about.
possibilities for cross-class combos are practically unlimited.
Okay, cool.
We're looking forward to what kind of things you guys might find. Now, Path of Exile is a game known for build customization, and we haven't even scratched the surface of what is possible yet. So let's talk about support gems. Path of Exile 2 has a system of support gems that can be combined with your active skills to dramatically change the way they work.
Okay, so there's uncut support and uncut normal, so that's cool. That's gonna totally like change what you can do throughout the game. You can probably start using you can cut certain gems at different times maybe when you're certain levels, but other than that, yeah.
If you find a support gem, then right-clicking it will open up this screen. Here you will find a variety of recommended support gems for each of your skills that you can pick.
Yeah, it looks like the level 1 can only do level 1. So it depends on the level of the gem that you find. Okay. Or buy maybe. Maybe you can only buy certain level gems at certain places or commiserate to your level. That's cool.
For example, this is a multiple projectiles support gem and can be used to add multiple projectiles to any skill. Projectiles, then you get 3 of them skill. Generally speaking, if it sounds like a support gem should work with a skill, then it will work. So it's a good idea to experiment.
We'll see.
Note that you can only have 1 of each support gem on your character, so you'll want to think carefully about which supports can be used best with each skill for maximum damage. Now, if you want to stick to the recommendations, you should have a perfectly good time. But if you want to experiment a bit more, then uncheck that recommended button and you can see the full list of supports that will work with your skill.
Oh, nice. Sweet, no more guessing.
There are hundreds of support gems to choose from, and even we don't know the results of all the possible ways these can interact. Each skill can have up to 5 supports socketed into it, and if you're clever, you can come up with some pretty interesting ideas.
Okay, cool.
Now all of this is just scratching the surface. You can make frost vortexes, break people's armor, make minions explode, or pin them to the ground.
Yeah.
Supports let you drastically change. So, speaking of builds, let's talk about one of the most iconic Path of Exile systems,
Okay.
the passive skill
How are they
tree.
doing this? 6?
Yes,
or
it's
7
huge.
or
There are
12?
over 1,500 nodes on there. Now, a lot of people open the
Characters.
tree and can get a little intimidated at first, but try not to be scared. There are lots of options, but at its core, it's pretty simple. Each level you get 1 point to put into the tree. Each class starts at a different location, but they all share the same tree. Around your section of the tree, you'll find relevant bonuses for your character. You should be safe in the knowledge that there aren't many wrong choices here. Almost all the starting nodes will be useful for your character in some
That's
way.
the monk.
But if
He's
you
got
do happen to
6
make a choice you
access
regret,
points.
you'll be
That's
able to respec
interesting.
any nodes you've taken by spending a little bit of gold.
Oh no, maybe the middle is, I see, the middle is where you are, and then that's where you start.
Now,
Nice.
the tree is generally divided up into clusters which have similar themes. In each cluster, you will find small nodes that give simple bonuses like increased damage, but the real power comes from notables. Notables normally have much more interesting bonuses,
Do they have
and they tend to care a
masteries?
lot more about how your build works and what skills you're using. For example, in the mercenary area of the tree, this one gives a 25% chance for crossbow skills to not consume a bolt. And here's one that gives grenades a chance to blow up a second time. This one gives a chance for projectiles to rebound off terrain, as
Okay.
well as giving you some pierce chance to make that more likely. Note that even though this is in the mercenary section, this would work with projectiles from all classes, so there are often reasons to go to different areas of the tree. Attribute
Yeah,
highways. Attribute nodes allow you to pick which attribute you would like to use, so it's very easy to get points for any attribute that your gear might need. You can change which attribute these nodes give you for half price at the respec vendor.
What? Wait, what?
You will generally have to allocate nodes in the attribute highways. Attribute nodes allow you to pick which attribute you would like to use, so it's very easy to get points for any attribute that your gear might need. You can change which attribute these nodes give you for half price at the respec vendor.
Oh, cool. Wait, so they're like blank and then you choose them as you go? That's awesome. That's going to be that's going to be so cool.
In addition to notables, you will also find even larger passives called keystones. Keystones have both an upside and a downside, and often require changing your entire build to design around them.
Yeah.
A great example is Giant's Blood, which allows you to wield 2-hand weapons in a single hand, but doubles the attribute requirements of them. You can use a 2-hand mace with a shield, or even dual wield them.
Nice.
Or how about Mind Over Matter, which makes all damage go to your mana pool first before your life pool, but you lose 50% of your mana regen. Skills like these can be tough to build around, but if you're up for the challenge, they can be You can swap between weapon sets on the fly as you use certain skills.
Yeah, this is
One of the
cool.
new features in Path of Exile 2's passive tree is that you can choose to have your passive tree change as you switch between weapon sets to take advantage of specific bonuses on the tree.
Yeah.
And every class will find a use for them. In Act 1, defeat the boss in this area to acquire a permanent addition of Spirit. The permanent buffs you gain from Spirit are very powerful, and every class will find a use for them. So make sure you hunt down these upgrades. There's one in each act.
Okay.
Now we haven't even talked about the most important element of character progression, rarity groups. Normal, magic, rare, and unique.
Same as normal?
One of the things you're going to want to do as you play through the campaign is upgrade the items you find, and you can do that with currency items.
Cool.
An Orb of Transmutation will allow you to upgrade a normal item to a magic item with 1 mod. You can then apply an Orb of Augmentation to add a second mod, then use a Regal Orb to add a third mod, and upgrade it to a rare. Finally, you can use some Exalted Orbs to add more mods to your rare to a total of 6 mods. One of the things we think is really important is to make these options available to use as you play. All the items that add mods are much more common than they were in Path of Exile 1, so that you can use them throughout your campaign playthrough.
Nice.
We want you to
Okay.
find things on the ground that can be crafted into upgrades much more frequently.
Okay, good.
As well as making the drop rates on these items much more common, you can also get them by disenchanting unwanted gear at the magic item vendor.
Oh, and they give you
If you disenchant magic items, you
Oh,
can
no, they
build
give
up
you
to an orb of
shards.
transmutation.
Yeah,
And by disenchanting rares, you can build up to regal orbs.
Cool.
Another important area of crafting items in POE2 is sockets. Some items you find will have sockets that can have Ezomite runes placed in them that add more mods to the item. If I insert this glacial rune into my helmet, it will give extra cold resistance.
Rune system! Oh, cool. Okay.
This is a great way to solve problems that you have with your build, like resistances or damage.
Too.
If you find socketed items that you don't have a use for, you can take them to the salvage bench in town to work towards an artificer's orb. This will allow you to add sockets to your existing items.
Oh, cool.
Body armors and two-hand weapons can have up to 2 sockets, while the rest of your armor and one-hand weapons can only have 1 socket. You can also salvage items with quality to create items like armor scraps or whetstones. These will allow you to increase the quality of your items for an up to 20% boost.
All right.
If you don't want to disenchant or salvage your items, you can always sell them for gold. Gold can be used to buy items from vendors, and we've tried to do a lot to make sure that the items they have for sale are actually useful.
Good.
Every time you level up, they get more stock, so make sure to check back often.
Oh, okay.
Other vendors offer a gamble. Pay a flat amount of gold and you'll get a random item of a specific type. This could be a great way to improve your gear, if you're lucky. Gold is also used to respec your passive skills.
Excellent.
Take advantage of this system to experiment with your tree and rework it as required. The other thing you might want to use gold for is the currency exchange.
Oh, they
this
put the
allows you to
currency
exchange currency
exchange.
items with other players
Nice.
on an open market.
Oh, it's funny. It's the same. It's the same. All the layouts the same. It's just the images are a little different from the last league. Huh, that's cute.
In exchange for a small gold fee. Now, all items in Path of Exile are freely tradable. We never bind anything to your character, except gold. Now, most gear in Path of Exile 2 is randomly generated, but there's another type that isn't. Uniques. They are especially rare, each with a handcrafted set of unusual mods which can dramatically change a character's build. They're not just better rare items, they can do much stranger things that can fundamentally change your character.
Yeah.
Corpse Wade will make any corpses you run through explode into clouds of poison.
Okay.
The Sands of Silk is a body armor that changes your dodge roll into a blink, morphing you into sand as you teleport past your foes.
Oh, interesting.
And of course, some uniques are just pure hits of dopamine, like Quill Rain, which just turns your bow attacks into full auto by doubling your attack speed. Each unique is something that you can build your character around. We try to make sure that most unique items have a potential use at endgame, even if you find them early on. And as you can see, every single unique item comes with custom art to match. The last character progression system that you can do during the campaign is Ascension. Starting in Act 2, you will come across Ascension trials, tests that you must complete to unlock your Ascension class.
Okay.
We'll explain these trials soon, but first let's take a look at what Ascending can do for your character. Each class has access to 3 Ascendancy classes,
Oh,
but at the
3
start of Early Access,
Ascendancy.
only 2 per class will be available.
Oh, I see. So early access is only going to have 2 ascensions, and then it's going to be 3. Yeah. All right.
Ascendancy classes are unique to each character class, so choose wisely. They can drastically affect how you build your character.
Yeah.
As a
but-
sorceress, you could become a Storm Weaver, a master of the elements. Tempest Caller causes elemental storms to be
Wait, they can. I hope they can be changed. Can they be changed?
summoned
Hope
each
so.
time
You
you
said it's going to be very important for your character, but
do a critical hit
yeah,
with a spell.
True, but
With
can be
Strike
changed
twice,
in
you
the
can
endgame,
stack 2 copies
think.
of Shock for more damage. And going deeper into the tree, you can make all your damage types apply Shock. Make a Shock build from any skill. Alternatively, you could become a Chronomancer and command time itself. She literally has the ability to stop time with Time Freeze. Not only that, but she has many other time manipulation abilities.
Oh,
Using
that's
Temporal Rift, she can teleport back to a
broken.
previous location, resetting her life and mana back to
freeze people in time and then poison them.
what it was. Or with Time Snap, she can reset all her cooldowns and cast all her spells again.
Yeah, time mage with damage over time.
On the Warrior, you can choose between the Warbringer or the Titan. The Warbringer channels the might of his ancestors to gain tremendous power. Using Answered Call, you can summon ancestral spirits linked to each of your totems. With Jade Heritage, you can encase your body in a protective layer that absorbs all damage until it breaks.
Yeah, but you can't move.
Warcaller's Bellow allows you to explode the corpses of your enemies. And with Great Wolf's Howl, you can ignore the cooldowns of your war cries. Let all that anger out. The Titan class is all about hitting big. With Earthbreaker, every slam is a chance to create an aftershock. With Crushing Impacts, every hit becomes a crushing blow, which will allow you to stun your enemies with ease. With Surprising Strength, you can take advantage of stunned enemies to deal 40% more damage.
Yeah, okay.
As a ranger, you might choose to be a Deadeye, an expert markswoman who can take down foes with style. With Endless
I like
Munitions,
doing more
every
art
attack
with
gains an
this,
extra
too.
projectile.
Full body art for all these.
With Gathering Winds, she gains a small increase to movement speed with every attack. But be careful, she loses them when getting hit. With Eagle Eyes, she will never miss, allowing you to stop wasting all those passive points on accuracy. Alternatively, you could become a Pathfinder, the master of flasks and poison. She can choose from one of several throwable concoctions, allowing her to spend her flask charges to throw explosive bottles that deal various types of damage. A bleeding concoction will make your enemies bleed, while a fulminating one can shock your enemies, allowing you to do extra damage.
Interesting.
Contagious Contamination allows her to spread poisons between her foes, while Overwhelming Toxicity doubles the number of stacks they can be infected by. Running Assault allows her to
Poison
move
isn't
much more quickly while
infinite like
firing,
it is in POE1.
while Relentless Pursuit makes her totally immune to being slowed by enemies. The Witch can ascend into the Infernalist or the Blood Mage. As an Infernalist, she can summon a loyal Hellhound companion. The Hellhound sets enemies on fire, as well as taking a percentage of the damage if the Infernalist gets hit. With Pyromantic Pact, you can turn your mana into Infernal Flame. As you cast more spells, the flame builds up, and if it overflows, you'll take damage. Using Bringer of Flame, you'll want to make sure you keep the flames topped up. While your Infernal Flame is above 30%, all damage from you and your minions will ignite enemies.
Weird.
She can also transform into a literal demon.
Ah, cool.
While in demon form, she takes an increasing amount of damage, but her cast speed and damage increase rapidly as well. So if you're planning on transforming into a demon, make sure you stack a lot of life recovery. She can also become a Blood Mage, a master of life and energy. All Blood Mages must pay the price of making skills cost life as well as mana, but in exchange, every monster they kill will drop life remnants, which allow them to quickly gain back that life.
Oh, nice.
With Crimson Power, she can gain
Wow, there's a lot of play style differences when you incorporate all these different elements, isn't there?
large amounts of extra
That's
life,
pretty
and with
sweet.
Vitality Siphon, she can use her spells to leech life back as well. Once you've got a significant amount of life, you can use Gore Spike to make your critical hits deal incredible amounts of damage. A monk who is in tune with the elements might become an Invoker. With Elemental Expression, the Invoker will create waves of elemental power each time he does a critical strike. With Faith as a choice, you gain the ability to meditate, allowing you to double your energy shield.
Oh.
Choose between I am the Blizzard or I am the Thunder to specialize in cold or lightning. And I Shall Rage will allow you to turn into an unbound avatar. Each time you apply a status ailment to an enemy, you gain Unbound Fury. When you have enough, transform into an avatar to deal way more damage and inflict even more elemental ailments.
Like Avatar: The Last Airbender?
Some monks choose to reach into the darkness instead. The Acolyte of Chayula can exchange their mastery of spirit for darkness, a resource that can be utilized to both absorb and deal damage.
Interesting.
The Shroud of Darkness will protect you from all damage incoming, but if you take Grasp of the Void, you will deal extra chaos damage from all the darkness you have. Their Dark Pact offers greatly increased resistances to chaos damage and can allow their mana leech to not only happen instantly, but apply to their energy shield as well.
Oh, that's broken.
Another node you can take is Waking Dream, which allows you to see into the domain of the Breach Demons. There you will see the Flames of Chayula that can be taken to gain life, mana, and damage. The Mercenary has a job to do, but which job suits you? You might choose to become a Witch Hunter. Obsessive Rituals will give you a sorcery ward, allowing you to defend yourself against elemental hits in exchange for less defense against attacks. With Zealous Inquisition, your enemies have a 10% chance to explode on death. The chance is doubled against
there's
demons
the
and undead.
explode.
With Judge, Jury, and Executioner, your initial hit against enemies can deal up to 30% of their life and damage, if you're lucky. This is great for hunting powerful bosses. And with Witchbane, you can break your enemy's concentration, preventing them from casting spells as often as they would usually do. You could also choose to become a Gemling Legionnaire, enhancing your abilities by embedding gems directly in your flesh. Integrated Efficiency will give you extra skill slots. Thermatological Infusion gives you extra maximum resistances as you socket more and more support gems. Adaptive Capability allows you to use any color of gem without worrying about attributes.
Oh, cool. Gems. Oh, that's an interesting
While Crystalline
idea.
Potential adds extra quality bonuses to every gem socketed into your character.
That's broken.
So those are the
wow.
Ascendancy classes for the start of Early Access. But one thing we haven't talked about yet is how you ascend in the first place.
Okay, yeah, how do you send?
Ascension in Path of Exile 2 requires
still gonna
completion
be
of one of the Great Trials, which you'll find as you
Labyrinth
progress through the
trials?
campaign. Each one is associated with one of the major cultures of Rayclast. Located in the Vasteri Plains are the Maraketh, a culture of rich tales and brutal traditions, who must do whatever it takes to survive in the desert. Not a title given freely. All aspirants must complete the Trial of the Sekimers, a grueling gauntlet the Maraketh must prove their worth by trapping the soul of a djinn in a coin, and you are no different.
Oh,
Once you have earned your coin, it may be placed in the relic altar to begin the trial.
Okay.
In the Trial of the Sekimers, each room has its own challenges to overcome. In this room, each rare monster you kill will send its blood to the chalice in the center of the room. Once the chalice is filled, you will be able to proceed. While fighting monsters in the trial, you will need to be very careful. Each hit will not only hurt you, but will damage your honor. The monsters are well telegraphed, so that you can avoid their attacks, but if you run out of honor, you will fail the trial.
It's Sanctum! Oh, it's Sanctum! Oh no! I'm terrible at Sanctum.
You need to find another coin in order to try again.
Oh no!
It is a good idea to make sure that you are well prepared before challenging the Trial of the Sekimers. After each room, you will be rewarded. In this case, you have been given a key that can be used to unlock chests later in the trial. Once you have claimed your reward, you will be shown a map of the rest of the floor and may choose how you wish to proceed.
It's Sanctum!
Which challenges would you like to face?
Oh my god, ascending is gonna be rough. Oh,
And which rewards do you want to claim?
I don't know if I like that.
Some rooms are more dangerous, afflicting you with debuffs that will persist for the entire trial. For example, entering this room will afflict you with Spiked Shell that will cause all monsters in the rest of the trial to have 50% increased life. You will want to take care if you choose such a path. There are many different challenges and rewards as you journey through the trial. Deadly traps, waves of monsters, and strange artifacts will test your honor. As you progress, you'll be able to gain boons from the djinn, which will help you on your journey. For example, the Sekimer's cloak will revive you once if you die, giving you a second shot at a run. One of the rewards you may find is Sacred Water, an extremely valuable and treasured resource to the djinn and the Maraketh. Trading it with the djinn will allow you to receive many benefits. You can recover honor, gain additional boons, or remove afflictions. At the end of the floor, you'll find a powerful boss which will truly test your limitations. In order to ascend, you will need to defeat him. Having defeated the boss, you've earned the right to ascend. But first, the loot. The keys you have found may be used to open the various treasures in the vault at the end of the floor. We only have a single bronze key, so we'll just have to open one of these small chests. If you want to open the better ones, you'll need silver or gold keys. Let's use the Altar of Ascendancy. Your first ascension will allow you to pick your class and grant you 2 points to use in the tree. Now there are more floors and many more rewards that can be found within the Trial of the Sekimers, but we'll save that for the section on the endgame. For now, let's talk about the second Ascendancy trial, the Trial of Chaos. In Path of Exile 2, you can choose whichever trial you like to earn your ascension. Each culture on Rayclast had their own methods to ascend.
Oh, nice.
If the Trial of the Sekimers is not your kind of playstyle, or you're finding it too difficult, you could try another. You can gain all your ascension points from just one, or mix and match them. It's up to you.
Oh, cool.
For early access, we will have 2 trials as options, with a 3rd trial coming later for the full release.
Okay, what's the second one?
While exploring the Vaal jungle, you'll discover the Temple of Chaos.
Okay,
Before the
this is gonna
Vaal
be in
embraced the
third
science of
act.
corruption, their civilization worshipped chaos. This ancient trial was once used by the Vaal to test their high priests. A high priest of the Vaal must show willingness to risk everything to gain power. Entry to the trial requires a token from a strange entity known only as the Trial Master. For those in which he sees potential, he shall inscribe an ultimatum. Many have attempted these trials in search of greatness.
I much prefer
Most have
ultimatums.
perished. Will you be able to defy the odds? Before you begin
have to
each
get a bit more
chamber,
lucky,
the Trial
though.
Master will offer you a reward and a choice. Choose one of 3 tribulations to affect you through the rest of the trial. These modifiers might beef up the monsters, curse the
have
player,
to do all
or add
10 in
environmental
order to
hazards
get
like
through?
turrets or trap runes. In this case, we'll be picking shocking turrets. As you enter the room, the Trial Master will fill it with hazards to test your commitment. In this case, you must destroy all the monsters that fill the room, while dealing with the lightning projectiles from the shocking turrets.
It's fine. You can still get hit and, yeah, regen and... Okay, cool. Yeah, this is much more my thing. I think a lot of people are going to be going this way. Though it is later. in the
After each
game.
room, you will need to make a choice. Take the rewards you have earned so far, or go double or nothing. Increase your rewards, but take on more risk. Each tribulation you add is minor on its own, but they quickly stack on top of each other and can
you
become
get
overwhelming.
These rewards, too.
There are many types of chambers in the trial. Each will test your resolve in different ways. This one simply requires you survive for a certain amount of time. Another requires you to escort the stone idol through the level as elevators full of monsters descend to attack you.
Okay.
Should you be able to get through the first 3 chambers, you will face your first boss. The order of the bosses is random, and combined with the tribulations you have selected, the fight will never feel the same.
Oh, interesting.
After defeating the boss, you may claim your rewards. Of course, there are the items, but you also gain the right to ascend.
Okay.
If you already did the Trial of the Sekhmers, then you can claim 2 more points to add to your ascendancy class.
Cool.
Now, it's possible to go much deeper. There are more bosses, rewards, and risks to take, but we'll talk more
you
about
only have
that
to
when we
beat
get to
3
endgame.
trials in order to do that.
So how about we talk about that now?
Okay.
So far, we've only been showing you footage from the campaign, but some people would argue that the endgame is where the game truly begins.
Whoa, there's
Something
6
that happens
acts?
almost every time a new act.
Wait,
the
wait.
endgame
There's 6 acts. I thought there were 3. Huh? Okay.
is where the game truly
So
begins.
There will be 6 acts.
Something that happens almost every time a new action RPG launches is people saying, there isn't enough in-game content. Well, we want to make sure that in POE2 people don't feel that way, and we actually only changed our development priority for this recently. The first 3 acts of POE2 already take around 25 hours to complete if you're a new player. This is already a pretty significant campaign. On the other hand, people spend hundreds of hours in in-game each league.
Yeah.
We realized that finishing the rest of the campaign for early access was actually a bad idea. Instead of having acts 4 to 6 in early access, we could concentrate on in-game and make that great. For new players, a 25-hour campaign is already a huge game with lots of content. But for existing action RPG players, what you mostly care about is all the in-game challenges to overcome. So several months ago, we switched the entire development team's focus over to making in-game content. At the start of early access, there will be 50 bosses and around 400 monster types. But the great thing is that the rest of the game is like 80% there. We'll be adding content to roughly double the size of the game during early access and into release. Now, in order to make the endgame happen at the same character level as what it would be after we added the rest of the acts, we've added a second difficulty level called Cruel, where you repeat the campaign with all the monsters and bosses leveled up. And of course, new rewards.
See.
You can kind of think of it as like a new game plus.
Interesting.
It's also a lot faster to get through the content the second time as your clear speed increases.
Interesting.
That will take you to...
Okay, so you do the acts 1 through 3 twice, and then you're at the end game for early access, instead of doing 6 acts and then get to the end game. Interesting. This is like the old Diablo 2 model, a little bit.
around level 65 where the endgame begins. Once we add the remaining 3 acts, we'll be removing cruel difficulty, so you'll progress straight from the end of Act 6 to endgame. But what is the endgame? To explain that, I'll hand over to Mark.
Oh, that makes it... Okay, that makes early access way more attractive. That makes early access... Wow, okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Huh, I'm just thinking early access. Okay.
He can tell you all about it.
Because that's way better than what they did with Diablo, where they had early access and you could only be in like the first area and like you didn't get to see the end game, and then like when it released there was no end game. So now there is an end game.
Hi, I'm Mark Roberts, game director on Path of Exile 2. Well, one thing that Path of Exile is known...
Let's see what the end game is about. The everything for the campaign seems like it'll be interesting. It'll be cool for being a first-time player, just having, because I'll know the second half because it's cruel, so it's just going to be the same acts again. So it'll be not too hard to do the second part. So it's going to be what, 50 hours? Maybe less. Maybe 40, 30 hours.
...known for is having a lot of...
30 hours of gameplay just for the campaign. And then the end game for $30. That's $1 an hour of entertainment. That's pretty good value for money. Way, way better than Diablo. Way better. That was $2 an hour for me, I think.
...of distinct endgame content to choose between. Each endgame mechanic needs to have its own progression system, areas, bosses, rewards, and player power that can only be gained from that content.
All right, hold on a second. I'm gonna take a quick break. Gotta go to the bathroom. Set up some more tea. Okay. Let's see here. I think... All right, so we're gonna start our pros and cons list here. I think number one... Okay, so we got pro... and con. Okay, so number one pro, it's gonna be for campaign minimum of $1 an hour for there we go. $1 an hour. Okay. The second pro that I see right away is that faster campaign. can never spell it right. Faster camp. Okay. Now, the first major con, though, is $30 for a free game. So, like, yeah. The second major con I see is it's a beta. So bugs. All right. Let's look at the end game content, because this is going to dictate a lot about whether or not we're really interested in it.
We are going to be adding a lot more over time, but for Path of Exile 2, we decided to start with 7 distinct systems you can progress through.
Okay.
This is the Atlas, and it serves as the core of the endgame for Path of Exile 2.
Calculating whether or not it's really worth me to buy early access. So I'm doing pros and cons. It seems like for the campaign, it's $1 an hour for entertainment. But it's $30 for a free game. So the campaign in the early access is going to be faster, I think, for me to understand, because it's going to be 2 Act 3s back to back. So it's not going to be... Yeah, it's not going to be so challenging the second time around, because I'm going to know all the places that I have to go, like what I have to do. And I'll learn the first 3 acts faster, which is going to be good for when the game actually launches, too. You know, get those first 3 acts done. The first 3 acts are the hardest ones to do in Path of Exile 1, and I think it's probably going to be the same in 2, because that's when you're switching all your skills up, you know, you're kind of getting yourself established. The second thing I can see is it's a beta, so there's going to be bugs as a con. So we'll see. I'm just kind of trying to balance out, yeah, what's going on so far. But I think the end game, this is going to be a lot of weight's going to be put on the end game, because that's going to drop the price per hour of entertainment down even further. So we'll see. Let's see how much time and how interesting the end game content actually is. I'm not sure if it's going to be worth it. We'll see.
It's infinite and expands in all directions.
It's infinite?
Now we are...
What? Wait.
Each in-game mechanic and player power. But for Path of Exile 2, we decided to start with 7 distinct systems you can progress through.
Infinite endgame system?
This is the Atlas, and it serves as the core of the endgame for Path of Exile 2. It's infinite and expands in all directions.
How?
Now, we are not going to spoil the plot too much here, but corruption from the beast has blighted the land, and your objective is to help fight it. In the center of the Atlas, you will find the Ziggurat, a temple in which the Vaal research the fundamentals of space and time. Here, we can open portals to nearby locations and begin cleansing corruption and finding resources.
Okay.
In order to power the portal device, we will need waystones. Each waystone has a tier which will determine the level of the monsters that you will face. To go to an area, simply click one that is adjacent to an area that you have already completed. Insert the waystone and click Traverse. Portals will open, allowing you and your party to travel to the area you have selected.
Okay.
All the areas in the endgame feel distinct from the locations in the campaign, and we have dialed the randomization up to 11. The monster packs you will face in each map are totally random, and the combination of them can lead to some very interesting combat situations.
Okay.
There are over 400 monster types in early access, and they have a lot of varied and interesting abilities. Depending on which combinations you face, you might find some serious challenges. In order to cleanse the corruption from the area, you will need to defeat all the powerful, rare, and unique enemies.
I'm not quite sure what he means by infinite. Like, you can keep doing it again, or the areas are infinite. I don't know how they could make the areas infinite. That's a bit weird. A bit weird of phrasing there. The monsters changing is kind of cool. Wait, I missed.
In order to cleanse the corruption from the area, you will need to defeat all the powerful, rare, and unique enemies in it. Once you have done that, the area will be marked as completed, and you will be able to travel past it to progress deeper.
So it's not just the boss. You need to defeat the unique and rare enemies. It expands? Yeah, how? I'm confused.
Into the world. If you die, then the map can no longer be run, and you will have to find another way around to get to the areas behind.
What? Yeah, I would guess. It's interesting. So if you fail, you can't do it again.
It. There are also all kinds, and you will have to find another way around to get to the areas behind it. There are also all kinds of other random encounters you might run into as you play maps. One such encounter are precursor artifacts. These are ancient, corrupting monuments that irradiate the monsters around them. The monsters that feed off the corruption are drawn to their power. If you defeat the monsters and cleanse the artifact, you will get a powerful temporary buff. Some of the buffs make you fast.
So, well, there's maps. There's waystones, which are like keys to maps, but it's not like specific map farming, I guess. Like, I don't think they're gonna have, because the maps are on the atlas. The waystones give you access to the maps, probably different tiers depending on like which waystones drop. Like probably tier 2 waystones drop in the tier 1 maps or tier 1 locations.
Faster, others rain lightning or fire around you, and some even give you increased experience or help you find better items. You can also find strong boxes. These enigmatic chests guard piles of treasure, but are always a trap. Monsters lie in wait to attack you the moment you open it, and the boxes often have mechanisms to unleash powerful spells.
Oh, it's gonna be cool. All the currencies are more yeah, it is. That's true. And to figuring out, well, kind of. I'm not sure. It's interesting that they decided to go with the fact that you can't redo an area again. Like, once you fail it, the corruption overtakes it. And so you have to, like, figure out a way around it. Can they really make it scale infinitely, though? I'm just so confused about that. I think strong boxes are going to be cool because they made the amount of exalted orbs dropping much more normal. So you're going to be able to put a whole bunch of extra mods on it.
Or dangerous debuffs.
Which is nice.
There are different types of strong boxes containing different items, and you can even use your currency items to craft them on the fly, so you can optimize the contents. But be careful of opening one you can't handle.
Combat definitely looks slower and more deliberate.
Sometimes you'll discover monsters frozen in essences, solidified crystalline corruption. These dangerous monsters can be broken free. If you defeat them, the essence they drop can be used to upgrade normal items to magic items with a guaranteed mod from a category.
Nice.
For example, we could use this one on some boots to ensure a movement speed mod.
Whoa.
Rarely, essences will also drop that allow you to upgrade magics to rares, adding the guaranteed mod.
Oh, so it's not always going to be rare. It's going to be sometimes just magic. Okay, so
this is incredibly powerful since it allows you to get a second deterministic mod in your crafting projects.
Nice.
Combining these with
Oh, interesting. Oh, so you can use... Oh, cool. You can use essences to get a deterministic mod, and then you can use another essence to get another deterministic mod. That's pretty cool. What looks dark? Oh, the area? Oh, yeah. The essence guys.
the currencies that are commonly found in Rayclast for modifying items, and we can get a very nice pair of boots indeed.
That's
Waystones, like all items, can also be crafted using your currency items. Adding prefix mods will improve the rewards,
Okay, so
while
like
suffix
maps.
mods increase danger. The more dangerous a map is, the more waystones will drop. Adding mods to your waystones is key to progressing to higher tiers and sustaining them, but it will
Yeah, the essence monsters.
require you to take on larger challenges. There are a variety of factors you'll have to consider when crafting your waystones.
There must be a lag.
Some maps will have higher density, some lower, some have more magic and rare chests, or monsters, some are more linear, and others more open.
Oh, chests can be magic and rare too. That'll make chest opening better. That's cool.
Make sure you explore and think about what makes certain maps good if you want to maximize your returns. As you cleanse corruption from higher and higher tiers of the Atlas, you will gain points that you can spend in the Atlas tree. This tree allows you to juice the danger and rewards of all areas in the endgame. You could increase the number of monsters, the number of rares, the number of precursor artifacts or strongboxes, even the quantity of item drops. As you explore the endgame world map, you'll notice various different biomes, from snow-capped mountains to dense jungle valleys. Most maps are restricted to certain biomes. As you continue to explore deeper into the Atlas, there are all sorts of things to discover.
It looks like it just keeps opening up.
These cities are constructed by different peoples of Rayclast and have specific items that can be found there. These strange structures marked on the map don't appear to do anything for now. Perhaps you'll work out how to use them later.
Interesting, okay.
You might find unique maps like Untainted Paradise, an undisturbed island full of beasts that give an extreme amount of experience. You may even find a lonely man just enjoying his retirement who will give you a unique item for free. In addition, you can find special areas that would make a good spot to set up camp. Clear these areas of their hostile inhabitants, and you'll be able to claim them as your own hideout. You can decorate your hideout as you see fit and invite various NPCs to join you there to create your own personal base of operations. A great tool for exploration are towers. These mysterious precursor constructs are dotted around the Atlas. Completing the tower will reveal a large area around it, allowing you to scout out your next challenge. There are lots of things to find, so keep looking. Some sections of your Atlas are influenced by corruption. This adds extra modifiers to the maps in the region, increasing difficulty and rewards.
So we're looking for corruption areas.
Here,
probably,
slaying monsters in close proximity to each other will cause the vestiges of corruption within them to merge together, forming powerful and grotesque abominations. You may have noticed while looking at the Atlas that some of the areas have these icons above them. The icon indicates that the area contains some kind of special encounter. This icon indicates that the area has a powerful boss. Because only 1 in 4 maps contain a map boss, we are able to...
What? Only 1 in 4 maps contain a map boss. Interesting. So you can skip map bosses at first and just hit
make
rare.
them very powerful and very rewarding. These bosses come from the campaign, but have had their difficulty increased with changes to AI and some of their abilities. It's worth noting that because you can see where the bosses are, you can choose to take them on or avoid them. If you do choose to hunt bosses though, then you will be rewarded with special points for the boss hunting section of the Atlas skill tree. The points here will allow you to specialize in boss killing, giving you much greater rewards for defeating them.
Oh, cool.
For each different type of content in the endgame, we are adding specialized trees in order to make it so you don't feel
Oh, and you get specialized points in each of those places. Nice.
the need to respec your points when you change between different types of content. We will be showing you 7 of these by the end of this presentation, so there is still a lot more to come. Bosses are not the only icon you will see on the Atlas. Let's take a look at one of the endgame systems, Breach. If you played POE1, you might be familiar with Breach. For POE2, we have created sequels to several POE1 leagues. While the mechanic is familiar, the monsters, bosses, rewards, and progression are all new. A breach is a tear in the fabric of reality. Opening it will allow you to see the demons and otherworldly monstrosities that lie in wait on this other plane of existence. By engaging with a breach, you'll create a bridge between their world and Rayclast. In order to keep the breach open, you will need to kill the demons that pour forth. The
Yeah.
faster you can kill the monsters, the more monsters you will fight, and the more loot you will find. You can also find clasped hands that will open and drop more items if you run over them. These can be a good boost to the rewards of the breach, so keep an eye out. One of the rewards that you may find while fighting monsters from Breach are tablets. Tablets are special items that can be used with precursor towers to add more encounters to the Atlas. Breaches will drop breach tablets. Clicking on a completed tower will allow you to consume the tablet to add more breaches to areas within range of the tower.
Interesting. So if you want something in a map, you're going to have to add a bunch of them. If you're going to have to add that mechanic via the tower. Yeah, it's interesting. Never been a Breach fan. I like Breach. I think it's a fun mechanic. In open maps, it's really cool, especially if you have explodey powers. But I'm a bit confused because like part of the thing that's cool about Path of Exile 1 is that you can get a map and you know generally what kind of layout it's going to have, so you know what kind of content you want to do there. Like you're not going to want to do Breach in like a windy pathway kind of a map. You want it to be open. So it's like right now the end game is more like for POE2 the end game is more random, so you never know which kind of area you're going to get, right? Seems a bit odd.
This makes all the content in the Atlas self-sustaining. Want to do more breaches? Find the tablets, add them to your towers, get more breaches, getting more tablets. Soon your Atlas will be covered in otherworldly domains. In addition, like all items in PoE, you can craft them. Use your currency to add mods to your tablets, allowing you to upgrade all the breaches in range. Tablets can have up to 2 mods. These mods do things like adding extra rare monsters, extra clasped hands, or even monster density of breaches, allowing you to keep them open longer. Often, you will find multiple towers near to each other with overlapping areas of effect. This can allow you to really juice the mechanic by stacking the mods from multiple tablets. In your fight to hold the breach demons at bay,
that kind of harkens back to the old Atlas system. It does. It kind of makes it less repetitive for people who don't like that repetitive endgame that Path of Exile 1 is.
you may want to use the powers of their world against them. Each endgame mechanic always has player power that can only be gained from that mechanic, and Breach is no different. In Breach, you will find catalysts, items that can increase the quality of rings and amulets by improving specific mobs. You can also find Breach rings,
Hold on a second. I don't have my... Ah, here we go. I don't have my chat up. There we go. That's better.
Special base type that can have its quality improved by catalysts up to 50%. In this case, you could create a ring with around 170 life. Breach rings can become some of the strongest rings in the game, giving you some good motivation to face the demon hordes. In addition, each endgame mechanic needs to have a pinnacle endgame encounter. While killing breach monsters, you may find breach splinters. Collect enough of these and you'll be able to create a breach stone. Using a Val technology called the Realm Gate, you can use your breach stone to access their domain and bring the fight to them. In this twisted domain, you will find nothing but a single massive breach. Triggering it will reveal hordes of breach inhabitants.
Yeah, killing them gives you more time.
And should you be fast enough, you will be able to fight their leader, Zesht. We that are one.
We that dreamed. We in nightmare. We that are one. Fate relies
Oh, this person's done this fight before.
This is just one of the pinnacle encounters of POE2. We won't be showing the rest of them, so you will have to discover them for yourself.
Okay.
But rest assured, this is some of the hardest content we have ever made. All of these encounters have specific uniques that can only be found from them, but that's not all. We still have the progression system. Defeating Zesht will give you points to allocate into the breach section of the Atlas tree.
Oh.
Allocating these points will make breaches and the breach domain even harder, but will give you more rewards.
Oh,
the
it's
small
like,
nodes will increase the
ascendancy
difficulty of
for
the twisted
each of
domain, while the large nodes have more specific bonuses. For example, this node adds more clasped hands to your breaches, and adds a pack of magic monsters that can guard them. Get some more points and you can allocate Waking Nightmare, which will double the number of splinters you get from clasped hands,
more you fight
and
Zesht,
inflict you
the
with a
bigger
mysterious
the
debuff.
reward.
In order to earn more points, you will need to defeat Zesht at a higher difficulty, and some rewards from Zesht can only be found by increasing the difficulty of the Twisted Domain above certain thresholds.
Interesting.
Defeating Zesht at difficulty 4 will be a challenge indeed, but
Yeah.
there are many more threats in Rayclast.
Okay.
Ritual altars are sacrificial sites built by the mysterious King in the Mists. If you encounter this symbol on the Atlas, then you know that the area contains ritual altars. Ritual altars demand tribute. Every monster you slaughter in the circle will feed the altar. After the sacrifice, touch it to begin the ritual. The monsters you just killed will be resurrected by the King of the Mist's dark magic, and you must fight to survive. The tribute you have offered to the altar can be spent to buy powerful items, but they can be expensive. To gain more tribute, you will want to find more altars. Each successive ritual you do within an area will spawn the monsters revived by the
love how they're
previous
doing all
ones,
this
in
with
addition to
mercenaries.
the ones you sacrifice next to it. By the end of an area, you will be fighting a truly imposing number of foes, but will have a significant amount of tribute to spend. One of the rewards you can buy with tribute are omens. These are special items that allow for metacrafting. Crafting items that affect other crafting items. Have an item with good
Oh.
prefixes but bad suffixes? This omen will help you to remove the mods you don't want while keeping the ones you do. There
Omens
are
are
a
gonna
bunch
be
more
worth
of
a
these with
lot.
different effects, but we will leave them for you to discover.
That's cool.
Now don't forget that Ritual will also drop tablets which can be used to specialize into getting more rituals. If you want to get to the pinnacle boss of Ritual, then you will probably want to use them. They can also be crafted to grant mods, making your rituals more rewarding. The pinnacle encounter of Ritual is the King in the Mists. Feared by the Asmeri people, he is said to have brought eternal darkness to the Wildwood. We won't show the encounter, but just like Breach, there are a range of unique items you can get for defeating him, and you will gain points in the Ritual section of the Atlas tree.
Okay.
Some maps have been touched by
Interesting, so the
insanity.
Atlas trees are
A
gonna
mysterious
be-
entity has taken a
as they
special
add new
interest in you.
mechanics.
Step through the looking glass.
So as they add new mechanics, they're just going to add more of these smaller Atlas trees, which I think is a good idea. So you're going to have one main Atlas tree, and then you're going to have a bunch of smaller Atlas trees for the different mechanics that you can do. And then you're not going to feel like you have to redo the whole Atlas tree. I like this change. It's pretty cool. I'm still not sure about the whole tower and infinitely expanding map thing. It's going to add a lot more variety to the game. But the gameplay loop, I don't know if it's going to be good because, like, yeah, how do you decide where to do the Chayulas? How do you decide where you want to do, if they have Legion? Like, big area ones? Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I'm not sure.
And you will find your nightmares coming to life.
Delirium is in it?
When you touch a mirror, the mists of delirium will spread out
good.
across the area, infecting your mind. You must stay within the mist to maintain the
Are
nightmare,
they gonna
which
have
is as profitable
cluster jewels?
as it is terrifying. Everything
be
you kill will
interesting.
increase the rewards that drop. However, the deeper into the mist you travel, the stronger the monsters are. Be careful not to overstay your welcome. Rare and unique enemies will become vessels for terrifying demons, who will manifest out of them to unleash powerful attacks on you. The mist also offers a strange crafting material, distilled emotions. By combining these emotions, you are able to instill your amulet with a notable from the passive skill tree. This is like gaining an extra passive point for free, attached to your gear. They are also particularly great because you don't have to traverse the tree to get them, allowing you to get off-class bonuses that would normally be much harder to get.
Okay, so they're taking
Distilled
blight and
emotions
putting
can
it in
also be
there.
used to instill your in-game maps, applying Delirious to them and adding additional difficulty and rewards, allowing you to further juice your in-game maps. The tablets you can find from Deliria can be used to further improve it, increase pack size, make the fog dissipate slower, or improve your
Okay,
progress
so-
towards the pinnacle encounter of Delirium. Speaking of which, every now and then you will find simulacrum splinters. The mysterious entity will create strange encounters based on warped versions of your own memories. Monsters and simulacrums come in waves that get progressively more difficult. You will receive loot at the end of each wave, and you will have to make the decision to leave now or
So they kind of
continue on,
combine
facing
Blight
up
and
against even
Delirium.
tougher foes from the mist. The bosses you will face as you get deeper into a simulacrum are truly terrifying. If you can complete a simulacrum, you will gain points for the Delirium section of the Atlas skill tree. Next up, we have Expedition.
Gonna be
Occasionally,
really good for
while clearing
currency.
corruption, you will encounter these Kalguran settlers. The Kalgurans have discovered ancient burial sites with lost Verisium artifacts, and they want you to help dig them up with explosives. The Kalgurans have marked the locations where the relics can be found. Place explosives
fan.
as
Like,
best
maybe
you
they
can to
fixed
dig
it.
up as many as possible. There is just one problem. Corruption has brought the corpses of their ancestors to life, so you might have to do a little cleanup before you can reclaim the artifacts. You can also find remnants, the destruction of which will further anger the restless dead. Each one you blow up will make the subsequent monsters more powerful, but also more rewarding. Danig, Rog, Tujin, and Gwenin will exchange the artifacts for useful items and runic magic. You can also find tablets to increase the number of expeditions and the rewards. This one increases the radius of explosives, while this
cool.
one increases the number of remnants you will find.
Okay.
Eventually, you might discover a logbook. These are special maps full of buried treasure and relics. Essentially, one giant dig site. Here, you can create an extremely long chain of explosives and go through a very high number of remnants. But be careful. Many remnants have mods that can really brick your build, so you will probably want to avoid these ones. If you add too many remnants, you could easily make the encounter harder than you can handle. There are all sorts of interesting things buried under the ground in logbooks. You might find dripping caves and hidden pirate caches. But the most powerful encounter is Olroth, the ancient undead commander of the Knights of the Sun. Defeating him will grant you unique rewards, as well as
Only
points to
one.
spend in the expedition section of the Atlas tree.
Only one boss.
So those are the in-game systems on the Atlas, but we are not done yet. The trials we talked about earlier have much more content when you get to endgame 2. Just like the other endgame systems, they also have progression mechanics, unique rewards, and player power that can only be gained from them. As you get higher level coins for the Trial of the Sycamores, you will unlock more floors to explore. Each floor has its own challenging rooms and a floor boss that you will need to kill. There are 4 floors in total, leading to another pinnacle boss at the end of the last floor, which can only be accessed at endgame. The Trial of the Sycamores is where you'll find jewels, which you can socket into your tree. These are like passives that you can craft with your currency items. They can be really powerful as they allow you to stack modifiers that may not be easily accessible on the tree normally. This jewel gives
Interesting.
lightning damage and shock chance, for example. There are quite a few jewel sockets on the tree, so it's possible to gain a lot of power here.
Okay.
There are
so-
also other types of jewels that don't provide any bonuses themselves, but affect other passives surrounding them. This jewel increases the effect of small nodes and radius by 25%.
So no cluster jewels. Yeah, I'm not sure about the other. That's kind of cool about this affecting other ones in the radius, though. Yeah, so it looks like the jewel system is not quite as complex as it was in Path of Exile 1. At least not yet. I mean, they'll probably add cluster jewels at some point because they're just such a cool idea. But yeah, for now, no.
With careful placement in the tree, you could get a significant amount of power from it. There are also unique jewels available with very interesting effects, but you will have to find those for yourself.
Yeah, I would probably just want to
In
buy
order to
those.
push further into the trial and uncover the secrets of the Maraketh, you will want to take advantage of its progression system, relics.
Can you buy
Relics
and
are
sell
items that can be
relics?
placed in the relic altar as you start the trial. They give special bonuses that affect the trial, making it easier and increasing its rewards. Of
craft
course,
them?
you can craft these with your currency
All right.
items, making them even stronger.
That's better.
If you can complete the entire trial overcoming all 4 floors, the final boss will reward you with one of many unique relics. These relics will be consumed when used on your next run, but can reward you with unique and powerful items. For example, this is the Last Flame. If you use it, you will have only 1 honor for the entire trial, so you will need to do a completely hitless run. The Trial of Chaos also extends into the endgame. As you gain inscribed ultimatums of higher and higher levels, the number of chambers that you can go through increases. In true Val style, this allows you to take even more risks for even more rewards. At endgame, you can progress through up to 10 chambers with 3 bosses on a single run. Stacking 10 tribulations on top of each other will make this a significant challenge, but it's worth it. The Trial Master will tempt you with items of the Val Empire, such as Val Orbs. Val Orbs are powerful crafting items that corrupt your gear with random, mysterious outcomes. Corruption prevents an item from being modified further, so it has to be the last step of your craft. But it's
thing
also
as
the most
before.
impactful one. For example, if you use one on your body armor, it might add a new powerful enchantment, or it might re-roll up to half of its modifiers. Val Orbs also have the ability to add a socket, allowing you to bypass the normal restriction of how many sockets an item can have.
put
A
3
body
sockets
armor
on
could
it.
get up to 3 sockets this way, allowing for a significant number of mods. Val Orbs can even modify uniques. Adding enchantments or sockets to uniques can make them incredibly
Oh,
powerful, but there is a
cool.
good chance that you will break them as well. The Trial Master will also occasionally offer you soul cores. Originally formed by Chaos, the Val sought to replicate soul cores through human sacrifice rituals and blood magic to power their civilization. Soul cores are powerful socketable items, with mods that cannot be obtained from regular runes. Like all endgame
Interesting.
content,
Oh,
there
so
is
they're
of course a
runes.
pinnacle boss. The final chamber will drop keys to this mysterious door. Some say this is where the Trial Master himself resides. Perhaps you are willing to take the risk to find out. Had enough yet? Because there is still just one more thing. The most difficult content in Path of Exile 2. While mapping, you might come across this fortress that has emerged from underground, surrounded by an enormous maze riddled with danger. Is the maze preventing something from getting in, or something getting out? This fortress is of ancient origin, and its construction has similarities to the towers and tablets that you have been using on your journey through the endgame. It is clear from the entrance that there are 3 keys required to enter. Local factions are vying for access to the fortress in order to seize the power they believe will be inside. Each of the faction's leaders have managed to get their hands on one of the keys, so you will need to defeat them. Each faction is led by an Uber-Act boss. You can see one of them inhabiting the city, but in order to fight him, you will first need to defeat their 2 lieutenants in the adjacent zones. Be careful. If you fail against either of the lieutenants, or to kill the leader, they will move on, and you will need to find them again.
Yeah,
Kill
okay.
all the Uber bosses and you will gain access to the fortress. We aren't going to spoil it, as we can't wait to see you guys attempt it for the first time. But is there a tree you get points in after killing it? Of course there is. This is Path of Exile. There is always another tree.
So these are your challenges for POE2. As you can see, this project is crazy huge. Way bigger than
Interesting.
even we expected when we started out. But how do you gain access?
All right. So, hold on. I'm still confused about this.
Now, we are not going to
Alright.
spoil the
Infinite
fighting.
and expands
In the
all
center of the
directions.
atlas,
I
you
get
will
it.
spend time finding. Each waystone has a
open a
tier, which will
waystone.
determine what is adjacent to any monsters that you will face. Already, you and your party to travel to the area you have
Okay,
selected.
so you do
All
have
the
6
areas in the
chances
endgame
to
feel
clear-
distinct from the locations in the
clear a
campaign, and we
waystone
have dialed the
area. And then, but if you die, you can't do it again. So you just skip it. Interesting. It's kind of like Delve. There must be some extent that it won't, like, go. It's interesting. I don't like... Okay. Another pro. Another pro. It's endgame. Also another pro. Not... not repetitive. Okay. But it seems to me like hard to target farm. Maybe no. No target farming. Yeah. That seems weird to me. I mean, how bad is it going to feel when you're trying to get the endgame boss and you die on one of the lieutenants or you die on the endgame boss and you have to try to find another one again instead of just doing one of the maps? Especially because in the beta there's gonna be bugs. It's gonna be frustrating sometimes. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
Well, during early access, you'll need a key to get in. To thank our existing POE supporters who have spent more than $480, we'll be...
Yeah, I can't believe they made $480 the cutoff for it. I mean, anybody who spent over $100 should get it for a free game, but I suppose they really wanted to limit access as much as they could.
Be giving you guys a key for the PC version for free. Anyone else who wants one can get one by purchasing one of the new early access supporter packs that have just been released to the store. If you just want early access to POE2, then you can get a key in the $30 early access pack. The pack also comes with $30 of points to spend in the MTX store. But we also have a variety of other supporter packs filled with exclusive microtransactions, points to spend in the store, and even physical items.
All right, so at least you do get points to spend in the store. Is there anything in the store that is worth it right now? Rings? Oh. The pilfering ring is on sale. That's nice. For 95 points. So it's just $30 with 300 points. So I'd get 95 points. I could buy that. That's interesting. Okay. Pro. We would get get 300. 300 microtransaction points. Hmm. That's interesting. Okay, what else? Wait, no, that's the wrong one.
Existence.
Cosmetics can be used right now in POE1 and in Path of Exile 2 in early access handed swords.
All right. I think it's all just cosmetic type stuff. So, okay, so these are just some more teasers. Ball lightning. Whoa, that looks cool. I mean, it looks like the end game is gonna make this 30 hours like look like nothing. $30, like $1 an hour, probably goes down to like 10 cents an hour for the beta. Knowing Path of Exile, knowing GGG, they're not going to release the full game until the campaign is complete. And when they do that, they might want to do some other endgame systems. I'm not sure. But I'm thinking that they will probably take at least, like, to fix all the bugs that they come up across. It's probably going to be at least 3 more months, maybe 4 more months before they release. When is they going to do? Okay. Early access. They didn't say when they were going to do a full release. How much longer? Because it could be up to 6 months before they do a full release. And if in that case, Path of Exile, like, the price might be worth it. But I'm not sure. Yeah, because they just are announcing early access launch. I mean, it looks like they've for early access, given you access to a really large portion of the game. I could imagine spending 60 hours on this. In the next month. Which is 50 cents an hour for entertainment, which is dirt cheap for entertainment. But it is going to be a free game. Oh, another con that I can see. Too many people playing equals too many people playing equals crashing servers. Yeah. So, I'm gonna change this to like $0.50 an hour or less. The ring is on sale, which I have wanted for a while. Are there any other microtransactions? If there's enough microtransactions that I really want, let's plan out what would we get for the microtransactions. So we would have, for $30, we get 300 points to spend. So we would get 95 for the Pilferer's Ring. That gives us 205 left. Not a big fan of bundles. Is there any other? Are there any other specials that are good? Oh, planetary orb variations. These are cool. Timekeeper's map device. Ah. Interesting. A bit expensive, though. A little bit too expensive, I think. 200 points? Actually, that would fit exactly. Yeah. That would fit exactly. That would be the 300 points right there. Wings don't do anything for me. Guild hideouts with the Timekeeper's map device. Yeah, the Timekeeper's map device also I don't like because of how big it is. Flip a coin when you can't decide. That's cute. Are there any other effects you guys know of that are any good? No. Okay. Let's see. What else? Stash tabs? Stash tabs are all full price. We would be able to get a bunch of other stash tabs. I could upgrade a bunch of my normal tabs to premiums. Let's see. I could buy another quad. That would just leave me with 55 left. And I could upgrade three of my stash tabs to premium stash tabs. I don't know if I want to do that. Oh, if it was only 5 less, then I could do a full extra stash tab. Add 6 premium stash tabs, 6 extra tabs. Interesting. Six for 200. Oh, okay, hold on. 150 divided by 4. 37. $33. This 200 is a premium is a better idea. But this is the cheapest, probably. Yeah. This is 25 per stash tab, 25. Yeah. So I could get 2 of these. Delirium stash tab? Ooh, that'd be nice to have a delirium stash tab for delirium orbs. I don't have that yet. Okay. So if I do 95 300 minus 95 minus 40, that gives me 165 left. And I can use it later to get other stash tabs as they come out. Yeah, because I would like that for my standard stash. I do have a lot of delirium orbs and shards and whatnot. What is this?
Delirium stash tab. There is also space for 5,000 of each type of delirium orb.
Yeah, so that'll take a lot of space in standard. Yeah, I can do a lot of in standard with that. And I'd have 165 points left over for whichever stuff comes out later. I don't know. I am very much unsure. Let's see, what are other people saying here? Dreamcore has a keystone skill breakdown. MP says has something about bosses. Oh, here's a Ziggy D Q&A. Maybe this will have some of the answers that we're looking for. Let's check that out.
To the post-show discussion and Q&A.
Kind of what we have to make sure of. So we kind of said, okay, well, like, what is the minimum number of like different in-game things you need to be able to have in order to be able to actually have a
About it and even.
Yep, absolutely. Well, as I said, I just think it would not have landed nearly as well without that. And I think it's important that our existing Path of Exile 1 community feels like they're also served. Like, yeah, sure, we're doing all this stuff for new players, and that's really important, and that'll expand the audience. But, you know, if we launched and all the POE1 players are unhappy, that wouldn't be good. So, you know, we have to make sure that they also feel like, you know, they've got a game for both them and for all the new players we hope to bring.
Hey, let's see what questions they're answering here. In-game being at early, competing against yourself. Yeah, what was that initial patch regarding POE2? How do you feel getting everything out there? POE2 being weeks away from everything. How long are we going to be playing for? Ah, here we go.
People playing through a completely fresh campaign as well. I think that will take people a fair amount of time. So yeah, there's and then of course the end game as well to explore. I mean, yeah, it should be pretty significant. I mean, we've always wanted it to be that Path of Exile 2 leagues, you know, are going to be, you know, like how POE1 leagues are, where you play them and you play them for like, you know, a reasonable amount of time. And then, you know, sure, you get done with them eventually, and then you've got the next content that comes out. So yeah, in order to be able to realize that, you have to have enough of a base to make that happen.
Yeah, people are definitely wondering like how invested they can get in the beta. So I definitely want to ask a few questions kind of around that idea. So firstly, is there going to be wipes and resets, and will there be something before launch as well?
So we are going to be having new like leagues effectively throughout the beta whenever we launch something significant, because, you know, we want to make sure that all of the, you know, effectively that people are able to play through. But that stuff will be merged into an early access league, and effectively after we go into full release, that league will stick around. Now, I can't promise that everything about your character will function exactly like how it did in that thing.
I imagine it'll be a glorious kind of snapshot of all of the here's all the broken stuff.
But effectively, we can contain all that stuff in the sort of early access league, and then if you still want to play those characters, you know, like then you can go right ahead and do that. But you know, the action is always going to be in whatever the most recent league is, and then of course after that point, there'll be a standard that everything goes into, which you know, all our economic sins will forevermore be archived in the.
Oh, really? Oh, that's big. That is a big one. Beta goes to standard. That is, that is big, because that means there's going to be a lot of items in the beta that are not going to be available in the standard gameplay for POE2. which might end up being really valuable later on in Standard. I mean, I know Standard isn't a thing for some people. I know some people don't care. They just want to do the leagues, but I do play Standard occasionally. If I don't like the looks of a league, or I just don't want to. And if the end game is ever expanding, that's going to make Standard much more appealing also to me. Yeah, for the map to be ever expanding, that's going to be interesting. Oop. Yeah, beta characters rotate into Standard. Crashing servers. Players equals crashing servers. Beta goes to Standard. Oh, that's big. Okay, let's see. That's actually a little bit more putting me on the side of wanting to buy it.
In Standard. So yeah, that's no doubt what will happen.
Well, it's nice that it's not going to be affecting what will be the Standard League.
Yeah.
Also,
that's
that
the idea.
people will be able to kind of get invested in their characters.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
Wait, what?
Standard League.
Yeah, it's, will forevermore be archived in the in Standard. So yeah, that's no doubt what will happen.
Well, it's nice that it's not going to be affecting what will be the Standard League.
Yeah.
Also,
that's the
that
idea.
people will be able to kind of get invested in their characters.
Yeah,
Because,
absolutely.
I mean, there's even something kind of cool about the idea of making something that will be like that little historical piece.
Yeah, absolutely.
A little collectible.
Absolutely, and I'm sure there'll be some handful of legacy things that only exist in early access leagues. So I guess we'll have to see what comes with the unique balance.
You talked about like the playing for a week or how long are we expecting?
Yeah.
Well, we also got to remember, and a lot of the POE1 players will be thinking very differently to people who are obviously going to experience this as a new game, but it is a new game, right? You don't have all these predefined, hyper-refined builds to play to immediately, go through things. You don't have people coming in with like fully detailed 7 million line build guides of exactly what to do with what items. The discovery is going to be there. The discovery takes time, and the discovery is like honestly ultra fun for me. I love it.
Yeah.
Now those things will emerge after time. Of course they do. Completely fine. But you should remember, like, there's a lot of game to play here to discover, to learn about the world, the new narratives, the new world building, the new unique items, the ascendancy, end game system. So. And there are other people who play for more like 3 and whatnot, but there's certainly going to be a much longer time period you can play this for while still a lot more time, especially these first time rounds, and then obviously with every league there's more to discover, but you get faster at doing all these parts over and over and over again. You'll get more efficient over time. That's how the game works. So yeah, I'd expect a lot of time to be sunk into this to fully explore it to start with, like a lot, not a week, not 2 weeks. You're going to be going far, far longer than that if you want to see everything.
Okay.
But, it's up.
So the beta, it seems like the beta is not just going to be for a short time then. They're going to leave this one around for a while. I'm going to guess up to 6 months until a full release. Maybe even another year for a full release.
To you, play at your own pace, see how you want.
Okay. So up to a year of playtime.
Want to go learn at your own pace. That's the beauty of a new game as well, which we haven't been able to experience with Path of Exile 1, or other games and for so long, is actually discovering the entire world. And yeah, there's some familiar mechanics at the end game and stuff like that, which is awesome for people. But I certainly want
stuff being changed
to
as
really.
the beta
I'm very
is
excited
developed.
to see people discovering the new things and getting so excited about it.
I can tell you're amped for watching people go through that discovery process. I'm maybe even diving in yourself
100%.
I mean, I love sitting there in Path of Building, as many of us do, but I am very excited for that.
As we were
new
saying,
discovery process for a while.
I think you were saying how much you were part spreadsheet I think I'm like. I think I was saying I'm like maybe.
Like they were already arguing about this. Like, it's good fun. So, do you have some kind of like beta release roadmap for updates and things like that for people to look forward to it?
I mean, we certainly did have one 6 months ago when we were, but now that we're now that we're sort of getting to release, it's like, oh my god, like, you know, we have to look at it. So, I mean, look, I don't think it'll be any less than 6 months, and I think it could easily end up being more. I certainly don't want to. I mean, look, 2025, I think. Really want to be, you know, full release in 2025. I don't really want to be spending more than a year. That would be pretty crazy. But I mean, honestly, like we have to get all the content finished and all that sort of stuff. You know, we always feel like we underestimate these things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And of course, we have to learn what we need to learn. We have to get the game to the point when it is really fun. You know, we have to make sure that like all of the things, like, you know, we've got the difficulty right for all the players, we've got the economy right, like all the stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things that we're gonna have to sort out. And so I kind of have a feeling that the first few weeks at least are gonna just be scramble of like, you know, oh crap, someone like worked this crazy thing out and we found this thing, and like, you know,
there's gonna be all kinds
that's
of
always
bugs
scary.
and stuff.
You know, because it's just
you're gonna have characters.
When we had
nerfed all
content to
over the
POE1,
place,
it's like
items
at
nerfed.
least the kind of base of stuff that we have is kind of, you know, well tested and people know kind of what's going on with it. But here it's like just complete new world, and we're the kind of game that has a lot of ability for players to do stuff that we wouldn't anticipate. You know, we have the you know, just the way support gems work and everything like that. So there's certainly a lot of worry that like there's just going to be builds that are like completely ridiculous that we just never anticipated, combining certain things in different ways we don't expect. You know, with hundreds of support gems, it can be like that. So you know, that's going to be an interesting one.
It will happen.
Yeah, for sure.
It is inevitable, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like there's nothing we can even do about it because you need hundreds and thousands of hours of testing to be able to do that with what can only be done with hundreds of thousands of players. But that's also the magic of it all, which is awesome.
That's why I was asking you, like, are you literally really doing 12 classes and 36 sentencies, like actually?
Yeah, that's absolutely. We have we know what we want to do.
It's
with
a bit
all that
unhinged.
Stuff. It is a bit, but you know, we like a challenge. I mean, you know, a studio that produces a passive skill tree like we do clearly has a bit of a glutton for punishment with regard to just like mixing.
You totally could have done 6 and then like, I don't know, added more later in an expansion or something.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we could have. I mean, look, this is the plan. This is the plan. You know, I mean, like as people go through early access, it's going to feel like there's just expansion content coming out pretty frequently. Just because, you know, we have all the stuff that we kind of, you know, got a lot of the way through.
There's going to be other
there's stuff
updates
coming. Look,
coming
I'm pretty sure. Like, I
through.
really want to get the Druid out. Like we announced it, we've talked about it. It's a lot of fun. You know, I'm keen to get that out there as soon as we can. You know, the Huntress we've talked a bunch about as well. There's like those kinds of things I think will be.
So that actually is a good point. Like I was going to ask, what do you folks, what does the team want out of the beta? Because obviously it's like a good way to market the game, but it's also you know, key to shaping the game in the future. Like the actual beta, it's not just early access.
I think one of the most important things, I think it's going to be really good for the development team to get back into a live mindset and like get it back into the idea of like, okay, everything we make is shipping.
People are
soon,
seeing this.
Like get back into this. You know, people are seeing. You know, like actually getting back into that and like being able to.
Doesn't work and B doesn't work, then we'll find C, we'll find option C, we'll find option D, and we'll keep changing things and we'll make it work. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of that iteration on our design decisions, how forgiving, because like the game is pretty hard, you know, it can be pretty hard. And so when you're on that fine line of like, you know, if things are difficult, you know, it's not too easy to know if you've tilted one way or something that I will obviously be paying very, very, very close attention to.
It's a pretty hard thing to nail down when you are making the game. And so we've seen that a lot where you folks have been pretty willing to change and then rechange again. Some of the cool features like flasks and the waypointing system.
Stuff like that flask thing, like the most recent change to that was like ultra recent. Like have we even had like a closed beta of that yet? Was it? No. I think we haven't. Yeah, but I mean, I think it's way better than it was. Like it's the things have improved a lot. And honestly, like that's one of those things we've been wanting to do, something to sort out flasks for ages.
Yep.
And it really came about because when actually looking at what new players were having trouble with when they were playing, Flask Piano was actually like, even from the very beginning of the game, actually ended up being one of those things that like people just had trouble with, just like just the manual dexterity required to like hit all your different flask keys, and then you have to know when one of your flasks run out so you can move to the next one, and like various things like that. Like all that stuff actually was like just a large amount of mechanical complexity right from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then even at endgame, I don't think it was really that satisfying either, because you ended up with just like having to press all these buttons all the time, and obviously it's all utility flasks that people are using at endgame. And then we kind of tried to band-aid this in POE1 with the some of the flask automation stuff that was added there, but there was still this idea that that you're still more powerful if you don't automate. So therefore, it's like there's that trade-off there. So
you're just more powerful if you get mage blood. Really,
sure. I guess I get a lot better personally.
You have we'll jump ahead to Floss since we're on the topic. You have locked in effectively the fact that there's a mana flask there now, so there's always going to be a mana flask slot. And how does that tie into your design for mana? And are we always going to be using mana flask slot, or if we solve another way, what does it do?
You can absolutely solve another way, and then you'll just have a flask slot that isn't doing anything for sure. But I think it kind of has to work that way, because we really don't want because like once you sort of start to get into changing that around, I feel like the system sort of starts to break with regard to the feeling of like, I know where mana is, I know where my health is, like that kind of stuff. That being said, we've always got uniques and stuff like that. I believe there's already...
there is a unique that allows you to equip two life flasks.
But the thing is, then that's a build choice that you're making, so it's a little bit different, and that's fine. But I think the system as it works now, it's a lot easier.
So it does sound like on the mana side of things then that there are going to be multiple angles of solving mana,
Of course. So we've got Leech edition number 475 of how it works. And I really wish we didn't have to. But as I said, we kind of underestimated some of the stuff. We did have to steal a few POE1 resources just towards the end here, which is been a bit unfortunate. I really wish we didn't have to. But as I said, we kind of underestimated some of the stuff. But everyone is going to be going back to POE1 again for the February league, and we're going to make sure.
Okay, so there is going to be a league in February. Interesting.
We can do that.
So
like
even if
one
we
of the
don't
things
like
that
it,
was a big problem for our studio when we had a long-term project and a short-term project, is that you've always had that thing of like you always want to work on the short-term thing.
Yeah.
So now that we've got two short-term things coming up, I actually think it's going to be a bit easier to prioritize in some respects, because
funnily enough,
it's just like all that stuff is then is like coming up soon. So but we'll see how it goes. But we need to get that POE1 expansion out next.
Yeah, obviously, I just want to always make it clear that, the reason why things can't be so planned out is, again, we're just releasing this game.
Yep.
Obviously, we pivoted to endgame, and then that needed more resources. And then, of course, combined with the fact that...
this pivot to endgame, this has all happened because of Diablo 4. They saw what happened with Diablo 4, where the campaign was complete, but the endgame was not, and that players were super unhappy with it. So Diablo 4 actually was kind of like a beta test for Path of Exile 2, because they were able to figure it out that, players really want the endgame content to be there, so we got to do that more,
Things obviously change. There are unpredictable things in the environment we can't necessarily guarantee, and then, of course, you have, Christmas coming up and all of that, right? There's so many variables to consider, but we also don't know how much time is going to be invested necessarily or need to be invested into live operations for post-release. How many problems are going to go wrong? How many builds are there? How many of the uniques are broken? How many, and where do all these resources go? There are just millions of variables here to consider, and so it can get very, very difficult, especially at this time. But once you release, you have a bit of a grace period, so to speak, where more like a period of extreme amounts of fire, where we're putting out fires everywhere. But we have a period where we're fixing everything. You get everything stable, and then we're going to be like, all right, let's recalibrate, figure everything out. And what is our plans, and then establish all of that.
It's going to be a year, probably.
Based also on the feedback we get from that period where everything's on fire. Not to make it sound like it's going to be bad, but...
There's always going to be like, oh my god, people found this, and thing. Like, if we we obviously normally have to worry about like the whole mid-league nerf concept, but it's like if you can deal with something within like an hour or two of it happening, then it's like you're kind of okay, because no one had a chance to kind of like everyone didn't swap their build over to it or whatever. But we're gonna have to be really on the ball for POE2, just because there's so many things that are new.
Well, I mean, look, we have several bosses with several elevators.
Yeah.
How many of them can be pushed up the elevator? You know what I mean? Well, that's right.
Making second playthroughs not annoying. Character lore, bosses, icons, text lore, subtitle text lore. Anything else? Shadow Ascendancy class. What? Why Shadow Ascendancy class?
Baddies being cool. I mean, that's that's
I'm
how we
watching you
almost
cook.
designed an ascendancy class in here just before when we were watching that trailer earlier.
Yes. So what you were saying a shadow. You came up with a shadow ascendancy.
Yeah. Internally we had some developers watching the trailer yesterday, getting excited about it, and then I was like, I want to play that. I want to play that character. I want to be that character.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That like kind of Val Thaumaturge.
Okay, tattoos added to classes. No abilities interact with ascendities. How do you ascend? Jewels, endgame choices. How hard is it to ascend? Vol orbs. The plan was to keep you in ascendancies. How is the list of skills, support gems, fall skills, endgame trials. Okay, let's take a look at the endgame thing.
A lot more.
So yeah, it'd be cool to see something for that in the future potentially.
No, here we go. Atlas talk.
This very cute Atlas, this infinitely expanding civilization map-esque
Yeah, let's
Atlas,
see what that's
which I know you're particularly
all
fond
about.
of, Jonathan.
Yep.
What's kind of the idea here? Like, is the layout the same for everyone? Is it the same across the league?
So it's the
Procedurally
same for all
generated?
your characters in the league, but the layout is different for everyone. It is random.
Ah, okay.
So you're gonna have to find stuff. Like it works like Delve in this respect, which is obviously
Yeah.
a league that I was particularly a fan of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just a really
So the Atlas is Delve.
what I really wanted is I wanted a feeling of exploration in the Atlas, and it's something that we sort of tried to do with the Atlas and POE1, with that feeling of kind of, you know, having the connected areas and exploring, but it didn't feel like exploration in quite the same way that this does.
Yeah.
That's a feeling I loved, and it's one of the reasons I love Delve. So that's, you know, kind of where this was coming from. And at the same time, it's sort of solving various other problems that we've always had where, like, one of the things that's really cool to do is to be able to have things like, okay, like in this area, you've got like this item drops and like that kind of thing. You know, like I guess in POE1 you had div cards, but yet there was always a problem where if you have differences between in-game areas in a system that works like POE1 does, then effectively that's the only map people, like whatever the best map is, that's the one everyone will run. Like, seriously forever.
It's like Jungle Valley or
So effectively,
Glacier.
we wanted to try and make sure that you actually like had an experience that had more variety while still retaining the whole like I get to play the content that I want. So ideally with the Atlas we kind of get that we've got in POE2, we get to kind of have both of the best of both worlds. We get to make sure that there is some variety. You know, you feel like you're exploring. But because once you've run a map, that's run, and now you have to, you know, move on and do it and find another one. It's not just like like just play one map again and again and again. But yet the content, you know, can be added to it. You can do things if you like the, you know, particular maps, you know, because there are biomes and you can see them from far away. You can be like, okay, I know there's a particular desert map that's great, so I'm going to go for deserts, and that's fine. You can do that kind of thing. So you know, like you've both got controllability, but also you know, the ability for us to kind of make.
Okay. So you're not going to be able to target farm like you can in POE1.
More variance.
You get a lot more very high satisfying spikes.
Yeah.
Well, like for
okay.
example, you get more variables where you just have there are like 4 towers really. You got a good tower cluster, and you've got really good maps in that.
Interesting. So you're going to be like setting up tower clusters. It's going to be more complicated. Interesting. It's going to be more like how waystones were like originally, where you could like craft them and stuff. I don't know how long this is going to last, because the problem with the old system about doing atlases was it was too complicated and you always felt like you were missing out. Maybe it's not going to this time. I'm not sure, because since everybody is different, maybe everybody's atlas is different, then people aren't going to feel like they're missing out. So you're just going to feel like, oh, this person got super lucky and had a 5 cluster area and was able to super juice this one map to like give him all these drops. That's going to be interesting. And also, like, you're going to be looking for more tower clusters instead of map types. It does make things like breaches less viable unless they make it like not a radius but like a volume of space in the map that it takes up, so that you can keep going further. Yeah, that'll be interesting how they do radius effects. For all the others, endgame stuff is going to be fine, but I think breach is going to be the most difficult. I really think that breach and things like breach and legion really get hurt by this sort of thing. So if they want to keep breach, they're going to have to rethink how it works. They're going to have to make breach like it is in the normal breach area. Like when they do like a breach stone where it just extends out. So if it can calculate maybe not the not just go out in a radius, but go in a like lines, because otherwise you're just going to want to dump maps that are not like major areas for breach. But although you will also be able to just mine every kind of content, whichever kind of content fits a specific area best. So like if something looks like it's going to be better for breach, then you'll set up breaches there. If something looks like it's going to be better for the other content like delirium, then you'll set up delirium there. Interesting to think about. It's going to be requiring a lot more thought
at range
for sure at the end.
So like, you know, there are maps. So in Path of Exile 1, for example, you know, the range is effectively, say, how do I quantify this? Like, say, 350 monsters up to 700 monsters.
Yeah.
Whereas the range here is like 300 monsters up to like 1,500 monsters. You know, much more drastic range. Now, those numbers are arbitrary, but it is approximately the representation of the range. Obviously, you then modify it and add more to it and all of that. So you will have some maps that are like extremely good with delirium. And some maps that are like way better with something more like breach.
Yeah.
Because delirium enhances the monsters of the map, whereas breach entirely adds the monsters. And you will even have things where there are maps that are like way more magic monsters, way more rare monsters. And so you probably want that with, you know, pick your league of your choosing and whatnot. You have all these variables that are at play, and so you'll all of a sudden find a really good set of towers with some really good maps and radius, and then you'll get really good tablet modifiers, and then you'll get really good maps with really good prefixes, and you want to just combine all of this into, and you obviously instill them all, and you corrupt them all. And there's the corruption influence.
We didn't show that,
and so
did we?
then there's the corruption influence on them, and it's like, okay, like.
It is possible for this on one map to be.
Yeah, so at the end game, it can get super juiced content, but you're going to have to juice. You're going to have to fill out every mechanic so that you get the right map. When you get the right map type next to a cluster of towers, that you're going to get good rewards. It's going to make it much more difficult for people to just run a single strategy over and over and over again. It's going to make it. That's going to be real interesting.
Many
Much
mechanic
more
stacks to the point of craziness.
So it sounds like the juicing is definitely there.
Well, yeah, I mean that's important, right? I mean, like that's part of the POE experience. But, yeah, for 100%.
But how much control do you have as a player though over min-maxing your just exploration of the Atlas map?
Yeah.
Like,
so effectively,
can you do better in some way?
So effectively, what you're going to want to do is the towers are where you go to like see areas around, and then there's the structure of the connections is quite open. So like you can beeline for things pretty well. Yeah. Like if you you can certainly see a lot more maps than what you play, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So because of that, like choosing what you want is easy to do.
And you can kind of see the towers in the fog.
Yes, so you can see the towers in the fog from a distance, which means that you know like a lot of the time it's like go to a tower,
you'll see some maps you want to play. You go play those, then it's like the next tower is just a few other maps away. Go to that tower, see the next area, and so on.
I'm guessing that's like a certain range out you can see.
Yeah,
into the
exactly.
fog of war.
The fog kind of in 3D, kind of the fog's actually a 3D thing, and it rises slowly as you get away from where the thing is. So that's how you kind of get the towers to.
Cool. So you might see a cluster of towers off somewhere. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can see that.
It sounds like this is like potentially an infinitely expanding map that is going to be, by the end of someone's league, quite big.
Yes. So we actually need to add a search feature. I don't know if they've done it yet for finding specific maps that haven't been run yet.
Yeah, we have a few things. Like there's a button you can press and it like goes to your last map round, one that goes back to a home base, and one that goes to some of the special, more iconic things you find. But we certainly need more. 100%. So that is something we will be working on. Hopefully it's there. Who knows?
And so Waystones have a tier, but they don't have specific maps on them anymore, which obviously shrinks that whole map pool thing down substantially. What sort of impact does that have?
It'll make the map stash tab a little easier to manage. That's good.
Yeah, so have you thought about like what sort of, I don't know, economic consequences that have for like how players progress through maps? Is it easier to do when you don't have to collect all of these individual maps to get the completion bonuses and stuff like we do currently? Like we have that whole... hunting down over 100 maps to get completion for. That's not a thing.
Now you're hunting, you're hunting certain valuable maps, you're hunting towers, you're hunting content, you're hunting, the warlord, the faction leaders to get the pinnacle.
Yeah.
You're hunting unique maps, a very different thing for sure, as opposed to... And
that's good, because that was always really tedious. I'm glad that they made this change now, actually. Because even though the maps aren't as target farmable, I really hated going through all the other maps to just find the strategy I liked. So
and then the item is all about, I've just got a key, I just want good modifiers. There's not really that whole other variable to it. So there's still a lot of interesting choice and access, but we've taken it from the item and put it on the actual world map. But it's cool. It also makes you just feel like you're traversing a world. You're not instantly like finishing the campaign, very grounded, and now I'm in space. Like Path of Exile does have that.
I only literally just thought about that. I was going to ask about that. So, the mapping system was always this like extra dimensional kind of unknown thing. It's pretty interesting, but it is a little weird.
So we wanted to start with to actually like at least, I mean, look, I'm sure we'll get to the extra dimensional beings eventually, but at least to start with, we wanted to have a bit more grounded initially.
Yes, you're on the planet.
Yeah.
Right, you're
on the planet. That's like a good thing. We have become a sci-fi crazy, but you haven't gone to the moon yet.
Yes. Well, even then we were saying like, can we at least before we go to outer space, go to the moon first? Like, how many moons are we? Don't. There's a whole complicated thing we need to figure out there.
Wow. I feel like there's a delve but up league coming. All right. So we've got this 1 in 4 maps is boss maps, and then that means the other 3 are not boss maps.
Yes.
Big beasts and preparing for them and tracking them.
Let's see.
That'd be pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah. Any other leagues planned for beta?
Definitely takes mercenary action to that. Be a good fit, I feel. All right. Well, there's lots for us to look forward to there. You have some kind of like penned already for adding to the beta.
I mean, all plans can change, but there are absolutely. I mean, look, that we've done things like commissioning art assets and so on. Like we've got there's stuff coming along. It's just a question of like when we actually get there, what's it going to look like?
Yep. All right. Let's talk about crafting a little bit because you've done a lot there.
Trading.
I mean, what normally caused almost all the anger and friction for me was.
Okay, later, Game Exile. Thanks for checking me out. Have fun with your friend.
Yes, especially bulk trading. It was horrible, and I was just like, oh, this is like a dream come true.
Myself and so many other players, I feel like we're more engaged in endgame. We were able to do the thing we wanted to do more, and we're just less aggravated on a moment-to-moment basis. It's good. So, do you take that then as like, as a big positive for it going into Path of Exile 2?
100%.
And how do you feel like it adapts to the game being quite different in the end? Because they are pretty different games. Like the economy works a bit differently. I
mean, honestly, I think it will just work. I mean, look, we have no idea what the trade values will settle on and like how that'll end up. But
is it going to be chaos? Is it going to be exalts?
Ultimately, I think that the trades effectively Settlers was a test of what the economy will be like in POE2, and to some extent because of the way that we did the gold and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty confident that that's going to be okay. But obviously, you never know, right? Like.
how likely then, based on just how successful it is, are you to want to expand the exchanges capabilities to like other things like maps or waystones or even gear?
Well, I mean, look, I'm interested in this, but I don't think it's necessary right now. So we're not going in early access, at least. We're not going to launch with any expanded stuff in that way. But I guess I do want to sort of see how it works, and I'm interested in potentially trying something like that in the future. I just don't like the currency exchange was like 90% of the problem.
Yeah.
And so fixing that like fixed a lot of the, you know, like it seemed like we would need to do more initially, and then maybe now it's seeming like maybe we don't, but I still want to experiment with it potentially. So you know, I'm interested to see how it goes. But the currency exchange definitely helped evolve.
So cluster jewels are a thing or not a thing? Are they've been kind of replaced by those radius?
We replaced them with that almost like rollable timeless jewel kind of thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
At least for now, there's like so much passive tree there, and the jewels accomplish the kind of off-build thing anyway.
You hardly need to add the extra passive trees on your passive trees.
Yes, we do. Yeah,
that's after launch.
We made the passive tree implicitly bigger, so you know.
The cluster jewels are in the tree already.
Okay, there's not a lot of other stuff here. The big thing that I caught from the beginning was it's going to be a year. So if you don't want to play the beta, you're going to be waiting for another year before you play Path of Exile 2. The second thing is that the beta characters and the beta items are going to go into standard. They're not going to just take away items. Like, they're not going to delete everybody and then it goes into and then you lose everything. There's going to be bugs, not going to be target farming as much. It's going to be more of like you have to be prepared to take advantage of situations, which is going to be good for people who I think it's actually better for people who are casual players, because then they're not at quite as much of a disadvantage, because they can always just take advantage of their situations as well in the end game mapping. And since the people who are going to be playing more nonstop and looking for magic finding and doing a strategy, they're probably not going to be able to do it on each map, so it's going to slow them down a little bit. And it'll slow down the casuals too, but they'll still have these towers to get, and they'll be able to do these maps too. So I don't know, it seems interesting. So I'm thinking, gosh, the fact that the beta goes to standard and that it's going to be a year, and those you get the microtransaction points, like, kind of makes the bugs actually into a pro, because if the beta items are bugged or too powerful, then they're going to be more valuable, especially later on. Crashing servers is going to be annoying. It's $30 for a free game, but it's for a year of early access instead of just like 3 months or something like that. He said they talked about it. They said it's going to be 6 months or more. So that's at least 2 cycles of Path of Exile 1. So I will be playing this at least until the next release of Path of Exile 1. I might even be playing it through Path of Exile 1 if it's not a good league. We'll see. And then Path of Exile 1 is going to have at least a 4-year or 4 month, 3 or at least a 3 month until the next. So it's going to be another 2 cycles of Path of Exile 1 before Path of Exile 2 gets fully released. And for one of those cycles, of Path of Exile 1, I'd probably be giving them $30 anyways. So I think that makes up my mind for me. The fact that the beta goes to standard, that it's going to be around for a year, 6 months to a year, and I get the microtransactions. I can buy the ring, the pilfering ring, on and the Delirium Stash tab, which are both going to be useful in Path of Exile 2 and Path of Exile 1 for me. Yeah, that all shapes up to be more pros than cons. Man, they did a really good job of that. I'm really glad they made that decision to make the beta items go into the standard league instead of what Diablo did, which is just like wipe everything. That's nice. I think they really looked at Diablo 4 and what they did during their launch and decided that they didn't want to have those same kinds of issues. Like Diablo 4 release taught Path of Exile 2 a lot, so it's not always best being first. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get it. Yeah. So I think this is my pros and cons. I think that the pros definitely outweigh the cons. This 0.5 is more like 1 cent an hour, probably over a 6-month period. I mean, even if I play the game only 1 hour a day, that's 182 hours. It's like, okay, so it's like if it's only 1 hour a day, it's 16 cents an hour. Plus I get to benefit from it in Path of Exile 1 from the microtransactions. So, and the things go into beta and it's going to be up for you. Yeah, definitely pros outweigh the cons. I think it's worth the $30 if you can swing it. If not, I do understand. There's a lot of people who watch me playing from, I know, South American countries and stuff, and like Alejandro. I know it's a little bit more difficult, but if you can swing it, I think it's definitely worth it. It seems the beta, because those beta items in standard are going to be worth buku bucks after certain, like, not real dollars, but, you know, after maybe, 5-6 years, a lot of that stuff is going to be really hard to get, and it'll be cool to have access to it. Like mirrors might be the best way to get mirrors worth of stuff. Interesting, very, very interesting delve that we went into today. Let's see. Okay, there's only why could that ruin Path of Exile? I'm gonna look more into the Keystone locations and whatnot. Is there anything else though? Okay, let's
Path of Exile 2 bosses versus Diablo 4 bosses. 1 minute video. The music. Right? And there is, you open the map and there's like a zone here and a zone here and like a line here connecting the zones. Then you probably want to go to like the top right of like this zone if you're in this zone to like find the entrance to like this zone, right? If this makes sense. But the zones are randomly generated, much more so than in POE1. So there might be certain sections of the zone that are always the same, like wherever the quest halfway through the zone and it's just a single that end with nothing. If that is correct. I think it's gonna be our core POE1 group. Haven't confirmed, but I'm pretty sure literally any damage dealing ability on any class is gonna be able to do.
It's either gonna be based or cringe.
Run back. So that's good.
Okay, I'm not sure what could ruin. Tiered rare system has been confirmed to not affect crafting. Tier 5 drop is only labeled such because it drops with higher modifiers. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm going to cover huge problems. Won't have max support on EA launch. Oh, okay, that's all the... Oh, okay, yeah, great. Thanks for the clickbaity title. Okay. All right, I didn't... Yeah, nothing... It looks like everything is pretty good, so... Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to buy this off camera. It's getting a bit late for me here, so I'm going to... head out. I want to thank y'all for watching. Tomorrow we'll probably be doing some more Path of Exile 1. Maybe later tonight we'll be on streaming some Weiqi. So if you like watching Go, catch me out for that. Other than that, yeah, thanks all for watching. I'm gonna buy this game because it looks great, and I really want to get that ring and some stuff ready for the next POE1 league. And yeah, let me know if you guys have any other conflicting opinions. I'll wait, maybe another couple of days before I buy it. But yeah, let me know if you think I'm wrong, if I missed anything, anything should go on the con list I should really think about. But I think this is pretty much the full list. And yeah, if you guys want to talk more about this, let me know. And I hope y'all have a great rest of your weekend, and I'll see you in the next one next time. Bye-bye!